Karl Karlsen knew his sentence would be 15 to life as he was brought to the Seneca County Courthouse in Waterloo.
The smirks, the grins, it's like it was a game.
There was no trial. Karlsen had admitted to killing his 21-year-old son for $700,000 in insurance money. It was a cold case, but it was the family that helped solve it.
You're feeling the pressure and you are not able to tell the truth right now. If you really truly felt like what you did was right, and which I think you did in a minute.
All right, I did not kill Levi. There's no way I could have. But he was dead when I went in there.
This video contains the interrogation of a man who killed his first wife in a house fire and murdered his son several years later. Levi Karlsen had a strained relationship with his father, Karl, and left home as a young teen. After a whirlwind marriage and becoming the father of 2 children, he grudgingly accepted his father's help finding a job, something that became even more necessary when his wife divorced him. While he was depressed over the end of his marriage, he had a well-paying job and was able to support his children. When Karl asked him to come work on his truck, Levi agreed. What he didn't know was that the tragic events of his childhood were about to be reenacted. Levi's mother, Christina, had died in a house fire when Levi and his sisters were very young. Karl had just taken out a large insurance policy before her death. It was ruled an accident. Karl had recently convinced Levi to take out an insurance policy as well, one which he would manage for Levi's daughters in the event anything happened. When Karl and his second wife, Cindy, returned home, Karl went out to the barn to check on Levi. It wasn't long before he rushed into the house, saying that the truck had turned over and crushed Levi beneath it. Once again, Karl Karlsen claimed the insurance money. Cindy Karlsen was suspicious. It was too similar to what had happened to Christina Karlsen years before, as well as an insured horse that died in a barn fire that Karl also discovered. Fearful for her own life, Cindy went to the police with her suspicions and agreed to wear a wire. While being recorded, Karl confessed to killing both Levi and his wife, Christina.
We have to read, police officers, if you're in a police station and we want to ask you questions about a suspicious circumstance or a crime, which we do, we're obligated to read you your rights. So I don't want you to get nervous about it, but we're going to do it because we do everything by the book, okay? So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used you against a court of law, in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have a lawyer present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you free of charge before any questioning, if you wish. You may decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these as I've explained them to you?
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. Have these rights in mind, you wish to talk to us now.
Yeah.
So now that we got that out of the way. So I heard what you're saying in the car, and I kind of know where you're going with that, about, you know, how you were just going to play the game, that you said some things to your wife. I think what you're going to tell us is that you were just leading her on and that what you were saying was not accurate.
Oh yeah, by 100%.
Well, listen to me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you were doing the right thing in there when you were talking to your wife. You were being the person that you were and that you are your whole life, which is an honorable person.
Right.
You've made tough decisions, and when you were in there talking to your wife, you were exactly who you are. You were being honest to your wife about a decision you made.
Oh no, I wasn't.
To benefit your life and your family.
No.
So don't come in here and
Oh
try to backtrack.
No. Okay, you guys don't know what happened that day.
Tell us about it.
The day that my son died.
Yeah.
Her and I, we had a funeral to go to. Left at 11:30, 11:45, somewhere like that. It was on the other side of Seneca Lake. Son was there. He helped me. We were working on the truck, changing the transmission lines, brake lines, the whole 9 yards. Went in, gave him some money, left.
Went in where?
Went in the garage. Okay. And so we got done with it, you know, talked to him, said goodbye. He was going to work on his truck later in the afternoon because he had to change something. I can't remember what it was. And so then we left, come back a little after 4, and went out there and found him. And back, you know, then we went to the hospital.
What do you mean you found him?
I found him dead.
Okay.
The truck was on him. They come in, tried doing CPR, and he was already gone. Talked to the, went down to the hospital, and they said he had died right around 1 or 2 o'clock. It's right on the death certificate and all that stuff. And I asked him, I said, you know, and it's a question you hate to ask, but it's like...
Well, let me tell you, let me stop you right there. The time that they put on that sheet is the time that he was discovered and pronounced dead. The
Right.
fact of the matter is, he died just like when you were being honest. That's when he died. If you're going to go with the scientists and the doctors who conduct those
Right.
things, that's what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you that you were telling the truth, and that's what corroborates everything. Is when you're telling the truth to your wife and you're being a good person like you are.
No, I did not kill my son. And
No one said you killed your son.
And
What we're saying is, and what we know to be true, is you pushed that car over on him.
I did not.
Well, the only thing that remains to be found out is what the reasons were.
no,
You know,
I
here's
did-
the thing. You confessed to your wife.
I lied to
period.
my wife.
Karlsen's wife went to the police about her suspicions and agreed to wear a wire. Karlsen confessed, and he is going to have a hard time walking that back.
No,
Would you
that's
guys
not a
hear?
lie.
I'm just here. You have her wired? And be
Well,
honest with me.
yes, we do.
I thought you
It's-
did.
It's all recorded, and it's witnessed. In fact, these gentlemen look familiar?
No,
These ladies look familiar?
no.
Okay. You cannot.
No.
Listen to me, please. It's too late. You went with your conscience, and you did the right
No,
thing.
I didn't go with my
cannot go back-
conscience.
What you're gonna do is make yourself look like a monster now. Because it's not just a matter of what you told your wife. It's not just a matter of that. There's scientific evidence.
Well, I'm sorry. I
Well,
did not
listen,
push
you're
it over.
gonna-
I
you're
did
gonna-
not push it
You are
over.
going to ruin the rest of your life by trying to go against your character. That's what's going to happen here. You've got to be smart about this. You've made
Well,
decisions.
then I guess, you know, I'm
Listen,
sorry.
you've made decisions here along your life that we can respect. You've made difficult decisions, and the fact of the matter is, you did what most people would want to do, but don't
I
have a
don't
chance to do
understand
this.
what you mean by that.
What I mean by that is exactly what you told your wife. Your son, unfortunately, was flawed, like everybody else.
He
And just like you told your wife on multiple times that you did what you had to do, you took an opportunity to benefit your family.
no.
I believe you when you say that.
Oh,
Those are your words, and I think you made a decision that was more difficult than anything else, and you cannot now take those words back. You can't do that.
Well-
It doesn't benefit your family, it's completely against your character, and it doesn't help you any. You were at your finest moment when you were making decisions to benefit your family.
They call that murder.
I never called that murder.
I do.
That's what you're nervous about now.
No, I just...
You're afraid that you did the right thing, and now you're sitting here saying, oh my God, I'm trying to help my
No.
family, and now I'm in trouble.
Okay,
You-
what do
what
you
needs to be
call
done-
it?
We want to find out what's in your heart so we know what to call it.
I would call that murder.
Why don't you talk to us about what really happened? And then we'll tell you what to call
I
it.
would call that murder.
Well, that's what you're worried about.
No.
That's what you're worried about.
No, I would call that murder.
Just be the person that you are.
You don't kill your son. You don't kill
Well,
anybody
listen.
for money.
Listen,
Money is one of the biggest motivations for murder, and Karlsen should know. After all, this is his second time murdering a family member for insurance money. I recently released another highly intense video on my Patreon, an explosive altercation between two cops, where tension escalated so quickly, resulting in a drawn gun and a devastating gunshot. In a mere 26 seconds, witness the events unfold as two officers engage in a fight that turns deadly. Watch this video and more at patreon.com/strangerstoriesplus.
well, who said anything about money? What are you talking about?
How do you figure benefiting? What is the
What you
benefit?
told your wife was that he was a drain to your family. And these are your words. These are your words.
Well,
These
We
are
knew
your
he was-
words.
We knew he was into
And
drugs.
he was not into drugs.
You're the one that
Okay.
said these words. So
No,
please don't.
right. I'm not
don't,
gonna.
Don't
no,
try
I'm,
to be angry at us
no, I'm
because
not.
what we're
But I'm
talking
just
about is what
telling
you
you.
said.
I'm just telling you. Number one, if he did anything, he might have smoked marijuana.
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean you knew about it, Carl. I mean,
Right, I mean, as far as I know, he wasn't into
Don't
drugs.
make the mistake now and try to back out of this.
No, then.
You can salvage this.
I-
When we listen to what you say, we think that, well, this is what I think. I don't know what you think. I think this is a man who all his life has been working for his family, trying to do the right thing. You've got a bad back, you've been in the military. Every day is probably a nightmare for you to have to get up and work hard to
Oh, it
provide
is.
for your
Yeah,
family.
it is.
There's no doubt about it. When we walked up to the car today, you come out of that car like you're like a chair, like a lawn chair unfolding out of that car. But yet you've been providing for your family.
Right.
And nobody thinks because of what happened to Levi that you're any less of a person. I actually think in my heart that I have children. And it must have been the most difficult thing in the world. But you were able to do it. And I'm not saying it's right. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that you made a difficult decision and now you have to live with that decision. And you know what? You can sit here and shake your head.
I guess my point is, let me ask you this. What are you getting at? You know what I'm saying?
I'm not beating around the bush.
Don't beat around the bush.
I'm not
No,
beating-
but what
this is-
I'm saying is that you're asking me, did I
I'm not
accidentally,
asking you,
deliberately?
Carol. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you what we know to be true that came out of your own words. You pushed the car over on your son. You said it. We've heard it. It's a matter of evidence, along with several other things that will prove the same thing. Do not make yourself look like a monster. You did what was in your heart, and now you're trying to pull back because you're now for the first time in your life you're worried about you. Before you worried about your family.
No,
Now you're
I've
actually
always
worried
been
about
worried
yourself.
about me. Yeah.
Is that right?
I
What do you
think,
mean?
I mean,
What do you
how
mean?
you live, how you know.
You're worried about you now when you should be worried about your family.
Well, the only one in my family right now is me and my daughters and my, I mean,
What about your
I don't.
grandchildren?
Oh, I worry about them.
Worry about them. You put yourself in this position. I'm not judging you, but this is where you are, and I think you're at a crossroads now. What is done is done. You can't come back and say I was lying to my wife, I was playing detective. You can't do that because nobody believes it. That's just not the truth. What you did say and when you were telling the truth makes sense. See, when I talk to you now and you're saying, oh, I was just playing detective, I think wait a minute, this is not the guy I thought he was. When you're talking to your wife and you're talking about, I'm going to have to talk to God someday, when you're saying those things, you are who you are. That's who you are. You truly feel like you're going to have to answer to God one day. And you know what? Someday you're going to have to.
Oh,
But here's the
agree.
thing. When you do this, you look like when you come in here and you try to backtrack, you are not painting a good picture of yourself. You look like a criminal when you do that. Because that's how criminals are. When we go to the city of Rochester, and I work in a major crimes team, we travel all around 10 different counties, in cities, in urban areas, in rural areas, and we talk to people. And wherever these places are, criminals are the ones that immediately, no matter what they do, they're going to lie about it.
Well, I think you
Well,
get
listen
on
to
that,
me.
you get on the.
No, listen to me.
Yeah.
That's not who you are. That's not who you are. You have not been a criminal all your life.
Oh,
So
no.
when you come in here and you start lying, you should stand up and say, you know what, I've made decisions. Most families suffer and go down the drain because there's not somebody in there that's willing to make decisions. You made a decision. And up until when was your last lunch, you were standing by it. You were trying not to drag your family into it, but somebody pulled it out of you, got the truth out of you,
No,
and now
she didn't get the truth out of it.
well, she did get the truth out of you.
No.
And you're only hurting yourself by trying to tell a lie now. Because when you tell the truth, which is more difficult, you're looking out for your family.
Well, I don't think it's.
When you're in here lying, you're only looking out for you. And that's a fact of the matter. In your mind right now, you're thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to get out of this. I got to get out of this. And the fact of the matter is, when you were to tell
Well,
the
I
truth,
guess no. I right now, I guess I'm a little. I just woke up, number one, and it's sort of like this is not what I expected my day to go like.
well, this is your day right now.
I know.
This is your
So-
day, and you have to account for what you did. I don't think you murdered your son. I don't think you said, I'm going to take this guy out. And I don't think it had anything to do with money. I think it was exactly like you said. This person was flawed. His life, you said he experienced marriage, he experienced kids. His life has been led, everything from that point on was going to be painful to him. It was going to be painful to your family. And I think what you did was try to help him out and help yourself out. And nobody in this society wants to hear that, but it's the truth. And I can only think of very few people who are willing to make that big sacrifice. And I'm not saying what you did was right or wrong, but you did it. And now it may very well have been the right thing to do. I don't know.
Karlsen is confused by the detective's seemingly contradictory insistence that Karlsen killed Levi, but did not murder him. He senses a trap and isn't going to walk into it willingly.
You knew in your heart at that time it was. Now, you said something about money. I don't believe that. I don't believe that you did anything for money. I don't believe that for 1 second, because there's no amount of money that can make that worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But you brought up money. Did you do anything like this for money?
No.
Okay then, just please be honest. So you
I
can
am.
say
I
to
guess
your-
I'm just really, I've never been in a position like this.
Mhm.
So I'm like, right now, I don't know what to think.
Just tell the truth.
And I am, but it's just, I
You're
don't
not
know
telling
what.
the truth though. Let's start from where we are. We're not always this fortunate. Usually we have evidence, which we have in this case. A lot of times we have physical evidence. We have this. We have a time of death that you have been going through and telling Cindy that, at the time of death is here. And
Well,
this
no,
is,
that's all,
but here's the
but that's
thing.
all I know. I mean,
Right.
I'm not,
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
'cause
That's
the-
wrong.
all right,
He
well,
died
then the
just
doc-
like you said.
well, then the doctor lied to me.
Carl,
I'm telling you what,
you are not 5 years old. You cannot get caught with your hand in a cookie jar.
yeah, but.
Tell the truth and then pull it. You can't do
Look
that.
at the doctor.
You can't do that.
Well, then, you know what, I want a lawyer or something, I guess, because I don't understand what, you guys aren't listening to me,
Well, we want to hear the truth.
and I'm trying to tell you, but you're just saying I'm lying. So it's like, I'm sorry. And that's what I don't get, is that I would do anything to have my wife back. It's not that I can't go on in life and have another female, that's not the point. She took my son
Did
8
you
months
ask,
ago.
you asked for the term. So we're not going to ask any more questions. It was,
You said, I guess.
I guess, what do you mean?
You said, you said I need to talk to a lawyer, I guess.
do you want to continue
Well,
to talk to us? Because
well-
we'll continue to listen.
Because we can
I mean,
end
no,
this now, if that's,
No, I
and
don't.
we'll just go on with what we know.
No, I don't want, I did not have anything to do in Levi's stuff.
Carl,
Not a thing. I
you
didn't.
have to let us know, yes or no, do you want an attorney right now and you want us to stop and just go with what we know? Or do you want to continue to talk to us and try and work this out? It's up to you. You have to give us a solid, a clue. It's called a clear declaration, my friend. You have to let us know for sure.
Am I being arrested?
But we're not there yet. I can't tell you what's going to happen or not. I can't tell you. We wanted to give you this opportunity to come in and tell the truth, and so far you're not doing that. Do
Yeah,
we
but
have
you're
enough
t-
to
you're-
arrest you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't know yet. I mean, you can talk to the lieutenant. It's his department, it's his case.
We have to make a decision, and
There's a good
even if we
chance.
do an arrest, we have to discuss what would be appropriate depending on the circumstances, and that's, we know a lot of what happened, but only you, Karl, knows what's in your head.
Oh, I know. I know what's in my head and in my heart.
Don't lie to us.
Well,
You've
see,
been
you're
lying.
not,
Like, we know
you're
that you
not
were,
believing me.
we knew that you were in the Air Force,
Yeah.
and we know that you
What
were,
does that have to do with it?
because I respect you for that. Are you proud of the time you spent in the
Oh,
Air
I
Force?
am. I
You should
loved
be.
it.
You should be proud of that. And I know that when you were in there, like anybody that does military training, you probably were trained to make life and death decisions.
Right.
I think you just made one when it came to Levi. I think there was a problem, and you did what you were trained, what you were programmed to do.
No, I don't. I don't agree with that. I don't.
Let's get it straight though. Do you want to continue? Because we'll continue to listen. This whole thing is about, we don't have to talk to you. We wanted to give you this opportunity, but you mentioned the word lawyer, and to me you said, I guess. Is
Well,
that what
I
it is?
just, because I'm
Well,
like.
we
You
don't
didn't
really
really
tell
tell
me
me whether
whether
yes
yes
or
or
no.
no.
You
You
said
may
I
have just-
guess.
If you want it, we want to
We'll
make
keep
sure.
talking.
So
Okay.
you do not want a lawyer right now?
Not right at this minute, no.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
I mean, I just feel like you guys don't understand what, my wife and I, the last couple of years, we just haven't been getting along.
The relationship became strained when Karlsen's wife began to believe that not only had he murdered his son, but his previous wife. He was lying about finances, and he became angry when he had to admit his spending was out of control. It mirrored the events of his first marriage, and his wife was concerned that she might end up dead as well.
And it was to do with the duck business and stuff like that. And she never liked to farm, which why marry a guy who farms?
Makes sense.
You know.
Kind of like the farm.
And, but I mean, everything was good, I mean, we had our ups and downs. I mean, coming to a marriage, 3 kids, and, and all that, and, but, and then my father, you knew my dad.
Mhm.
And, you know, he was a hard ass, you know.
I
and-
know, I heard that, like Tom had explained to you, you know, we've been working on this for quite a while, basically the better part of a year.
Mhm.
And we know that your childhood probably wasn't all that easy.
Well, it was a tough, I mean, we grew up the old school. All of my brothers did, you know. I mean, it was,
Really, in
We
this,
knew-
day-
we
yeah,
knew
in this-
how it was.
in this day and age, people get arrested for the way we were treated when we were growing
Right.
up.
yeah. And so it's, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things that, you know, it's the old school, you know. You don't smack your kid like you did back then. And, no, and Dad, as he got older, he had cancer, and he's, you know, wouldn't give up anything, you know, as far as we raised the Belgian draft horses, and Mom was like, geez, you need to tell him to get rid of some, and, because we had like 40 to 54, you know, and he's 70 years old, what the hell, you know, and I took care of him, you know, and so the wife just didn't like that, because that's time away from home, but anyways, make a long story short, so we bought the farm, and because she thought it was something I wanted, you know, which it was. And but I mean, it's just the idea that, you know, everything went good, and she just got tired of the duck business, and she's an alcoholic, you know, and there's been many issues with that. I mean, one night I went down 96A on the hood of her car in front of my son and my granddaughters, and
I know.
that was like, holy shit, you know. And it's like, but I would do anything to help her with it, you know. I understand her sister died of it, her brother committed suicide, so she had a tough life too.
Karlsen is trying to discredit his wife, a tactic the detectives have seen many times before. There is nothing to corroborate his claims that she is an alcoholic, and everything she has told the police has aligned with the evidence.
And, you know, so, like I say, I mean, we've been trying to get things, but I guess she was setting me up for the kill.
Do you think telling Cindy that you pushed the truck on Levi was going to somehow
Well,
fix your relationship?
No, well, I knew it right from the beginning, because I talked to my daughter, and my daughter's like, she is setting you up, and I says, I know.
But then why let her?
And I said there, because I wanted to see, and I really mean this, I wanted to see what she was going to do. Because she acted sincere as all hell. She goes, I need to get by, and I mean, you can read the texts on my phone.
We've already read them, Carl.
You know, and I'm like,
Carl, we've read every text message, we know every email,
well, all
we know
right,
every
so,
conversation you had with anybody for the past year, okay? We know, we put this in context, it's not just the one thing. We know the way you talked before you told Cindy stuff, we know the way you talked afterwards. Tom and I asked, we basically kind of made a study of you, Carl. Kind of actually, I'm kind of glad to finally meet you.
you know, and it's but it's like,
But understand that that when we look at the whole picture, it's obvious to us that it happened.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's the thing. It's not just your words. We listened to your words, we knew what happened beforehand. We go out and dig scientifically with medical evidence and everything. Before you even said it, it was a done deal. At this point, it is indisputable. The damage is done. Believe me, we don't always give the opportunity to come in and sit and talk to somebody. That's not this could be a done deal. We don't have to talk to you, but we were hoping you would come in here and be honest and tell us what we've heard already.
well,
which is like you had a heart, but now that you're telling
I
me,
do have a heart, okay?
you're
And
at this point,
but I'm sitting here thinking, you know,
you gotta
all
be
along,
honest about it.
and all along she's like, you know, and I kept asking her, you know, and asking my daughter, it's like, you know, and asking my friends, it's like, something's wrong. She's setting me up. She's just setting me up. I mean, how else can you describe it? You know, and I'm like, all right, Carl,
that's not what happened.
well,
We're adults, we're professionals, and what you're doing now is you're trying to backtrack.
no,
And
I'm
you can't,
not.
and what it is, this is what, at some point, there's a very good chance that other people are gonna be looking at this whole scenario and all the evidence, okay? And it's undeniable, and what you're doing now is you're taking what was, in your opinion, and I agree, made a hard decision, and you're making it look like it's not what it is, and you're painting everybody understands when someone makes a mistake, because there's not a human that's not flawed. I've made mistakes, he's made mistakes, you've made mistakes.
Oh.
And everybody understands that, because everybody makes mistakes. What people do not understand, or what we have a real hard time understanding, is when somebody who makes a mistake tries to cover up for that mistake.
Yeah, but I'm not
and tells a lie. You are.
Well-
You are. That's the thing. You can't come in here and having already confessed, and it's not just your own words. We have corroborated that with physical evidence. So it's when you're telling us I didn't do it, it's like you telling us that there's not a 500-pound gorilla here. If there was a 500-pound gorilla sitting right here, it would be the same thing as you saying he's not here.
You know, you weren't there.
Well, tell us what happened.
I spoiled my son.
Okay.
Karlsen's remaining children said that the relationships between Karlsen and his 3 children had been distant since the death of their mother, and Karlsen and Levi did not particularly get along.
Levi, terribly.
I believe that.
She hated the fact, I mean, he made life hard, but my son now that's 17, he has frontal lobe. I don't know if you know what that is.
I don't, no.
He goes to a school in Rochester because Romulus could not teach him. If you wrote the homework assignment on the chalkboard, he could not copy it down. No, seriously, he
This
couldn't.
is Alex.
Yeah, Alex. He could not copy it down.
Right.
Just, there's no way in hell. He could not copy it. And with my son Levi, I mean, homework would last 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours. And as a parent, you're just, how hard is it to copy from point A to point B? And he was frustrated, and we did, you know, everything that the school said. Everything the school said to do, we did. No problem. Couldn't get him to do anything. So he ended up quitting and all that. Alex, we decided to take a different route. School started telling us what to do. We said, you know what? No. So Cindy went out. She got hired a private evaluator up in Rochester. We evaluated him. Found out after a while he has frontal lobe, which they say most intelligent people have it, like presidents, congressmen, you know, people who are very intelligent. Some of them can't even write their own name. You know, they can't write their name. They have machines where he goes to school that the person speaks into and it writes everything on a paper, the kids, because they can't do it. And what they do up there is they teach the kids how to learn with the disability they have. There's a maximum of 8 kids per class, 12 kids per grade, and they only take them through 4 through 12. So it's like...
It's been a difficult road to hoe, I mean, it sounds.
Well, it is, but it's been a relief because, you know, Alex was getting frustrated. We knew he's going to quit school when he gets old enough. He's not going to
How
tolerate
does
it.
this relate to Levi? I mean, I understand.
But
this is
Levi
a-
and him were the same, you know.
Okay,
And
okay.
I seen Levi go through the shit, the rock bottom. I mean, going to, you know, getting a divorce and being absolutely broke.
How was his life? I mean, Levi.
After his, well, he just, he wouldn't open up to people. You know what I
Was he
mean?
suffering? Was he miserable? I mean,
No,
I've
not
never met him.
miserable, but he was just more, in a way, it's almost like he just wanted somebody to take him under his wing and, and we tried, and it, you're talking to a 17, 18, 19-year-old. What, come on. Who are we?
Did you really try though? You did?
Oh, yeah, we all did. I mean, and he moved in with my sisters-in-laws, and he moved in with this person and that person, and then he was moving in with kids his own age, which were kids who quit school.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up, finally he got married, and we were like, oh God, she's going to end up pregnant. Sure as shit, she ended up
How
pregnant.
old was he when he got married?
I think like 18, maybe. I think 18.
So,
But I think she was pregnant before, and she quit 3 months to go before graduation, her senior year.
so what do you
because-
think when all this is happening?
Oh, what do you do? We're all like, we got to wait till he crashes,
Mhm.
Because there's nothing. I mean, he would still come out to the house and he would help me,
Mhm.
and I would always give him money. I just felt,
Did you have a lot of money to give?
No, I mean, well, I was,
I know you've had your
I
ups
was
and
working,
downs.
yeah, but I was working at Guardian and I was shoeing horses at the time. I mean, I was making good money, you know. I mean, we've never been poor. We've always had nice vehicles. We've always had, you know, I've always had the draft horses and the farm. I mean, so it's, you know, you do.
Anybody give you any of that stuff?
No.
Anybody just hand it over to you?
Oh, hell no. You know, you work, I mean, I worked multiple jobs and stuff like that, and, I mean, I did. I worked my ass off on the farm, you know, and, so it's like, you know, I mean, I just helped Levi because I knew he was in a rut, you know. And then when he got divorced, and then he was like going from one girl to the next girl, just, I think, more for a place to live. You know, and then one day he called me and said, Dad, she kicks me out, I have no money, I have nowhere to go. And it's like he hit the bottom of the barrel finally.
Levi was managing to support himself and didn't have any expectations of Karlsen.
How old is he at that point?
He was probably 20. And it's like, finally, he hit the bottom of the barrel, you know? And so he come home, and I tried getting him into Guardian where I worked for quite a few years. And they're like, no way, no way. He's too many jobs. There's like, he had like 13 jobs in like 15 months. And they're like, you know, we're not gonna. And I had been there even before day one, before the plant opened. I mean, I was one of the first original 52. They sent us out to other states to train. We come back and I trained the people that they hired. And so I had a good rapport with the people there. And it's like,
And you still couldn't get him hired?
and I couldn't.
What was it that they didn't like about him?
Just
Besides
he
this
was
job?
job hopping. Just, he had a GED,
Right.
went out and got his GED, because I told him, I says, you can't do anything without a GED. You know, you've got to get
Did
it.
you help him get it?
No, he did that on his own. And so then finally he got his GED, and finally I went back to Guardian and says, look, I says, I will put my reputation on the line. Because I told him, I says, you know, at first I'm like, I'm not telling you guys how he's going to be. I says, you know, my son wants to get in, can you talk to him? And they're like, you know, and then finally I went in and I said, look, I think the kid has really changed, and he's really willing to stick it
You
out
put your reputation
on the line the last time. And they hired him, and he did a 180, complete 180 in his life. They loved him. One day on one of the machines he was running, one of the big robots that picks up the glass, he found a defect in the glass, and it saved him about $2 million.
It's fantastic. You must have been proud
Oh,
of him.
I was like, you know, any father would be like, you know, holy shit, you know, and we're working, my shift, I worked straight days and afternoons, just 2 shifts, no weekends, no holidays, and he worked the rotating. So I'd see him a lot, you know, and yeah, it makes you feel good that, you know, geez, the kid's turned around, you know. He was seeing his kids more, he was paying child support, he was doing the whole 9 yards, you know, I mean, it was what a father dreams of, you know. That.
So what happened?
And, well, and then he died, you know. But I mean, he got a, you know, the plant manager got a, come out and talk to him, you know, and told him, you know, what a great job he did. I mean, it really,
Come on, talk to who?
Levi, and you know.
Oh,
that-
so you're telling me that
what he did.
things were going good, so that would support your
Oh.
thought that you now you're taking back what you said to your wife? I just want to make sure about
Things were going great
Okay.
for him. He was living with us. I mean, he was, everything was going great for him. You know, I mean, the work was going good. So then he got.
Okay, so then
he got.
let's make sure that we know
Right.
that the 3 of us are starting. This is what we are. We know that car fell on your son because of you. That's what we know. Okay, so you
No.
say anything else?
It
That's
did.
a fact.
It
That's
did.
a fact. So I know that you truly care about your son, and I know
I
you're
know.
worried about you. Pardon me?
What's that?
I said I know you truly care about your son.
Yes, I know that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of mitigates that for me when you tell these tales that you didn't have any involvement, because we know that you did. And the fact of the matter is, it's done. The investigation is done. This is your opportunity. Like the lieutenant said, we asked his boss, the sheriff and the undersheriff, let us please talk to him. Let us talk to him, because I think what you're going to see is he had reasons to do this, that he's not a monster. Because you know what a lot of people think? You know what a lot of people think that are involved in this?
No.
They think that you took that insurance policy out and that you did this for the money. I don't believe that.
No, no.
That's what they,
I-
because think about it though. Think about,
Oh,
why
I
do people
know,
think that?
I know, oh, believe me,
Why do people
I
think
went
that,
through,
though?
I went through the same thing when my
Right.
wife died,
When did you, what?
1990.
Okay. So with Levi, a lot of people think you did it for money.
Oh, I know.
don't believe that.
Oh, I know, and it was
But why did-
family.
What? Okay, your family thinks that too?
Oh, yeah, oh, I had a younger brother, like, say it, and it's like, we
Well,
haven't
here's
talked
the
to this
thing.
since.
Here's the thing. What your younger brother, your families don't know, and what I'm assuming you didn't tell anybody until you told Cindy, is we can prove it. We can prove it. You don't have to try to hide it anymore. What I think is what you're trying to do now is save your family from what you think is going to hurt them if you get wrapped up in this. I'm thinking that that's why you're telling these fibs, because the person that I've studied for a year with the lieutenant here, this is totally out of character for you to come in here and tell. I'm shocked. And it honestly makes me wonder if you did do this for the money.
No, no.
Because it looks that way.
Well,
If you come in here and I'm thinking, we're like, this guy is going to do the right thing. He's going to come in here, he's going to tell the truth, he's going to tell us how he made a decision, he may regret it. We thought you were going to be honest with us like you were with Cindy, but when you come in here and start telling lies,
No.
when you come here and start telling lies, you know what, right in the back of my head, it's sneaking up is, holy shit, he did do it for the money.
No, I didn't.
Because you took out that policy.
He took out the policy.
Who paid the principal?
I paid the first
Okay.
one, because he.
I don't even want to get into that,
Right.
because that's all factual, and what that looks like, and I don't even want to say it, because I don't believe it.
No,
But that, you know what that is? You know what people who have a lot more experience than I do say when they look at that? And it's a huge piece in something like this. Motive. That's what they say. I don't believe it. I'm a father. I know we can prove right now that it was you that forced that car over. To me, I think you did it out of a father's love. That's what I choose to believe, and I think I can substantiate that. Other people are going to say, they have told me this. We have had down-out arguments where people say to me, you're an idiot, you're crazy. He took out this friggin' policy on his son. He brought his son down there. He paid the principal. He did this. He took the money. He spent the money. Those kids got no money. That's what they look at me and say. And I say, well, you know what? I can relate to this guy because I have kids, and there's no way a man can do it for the money.
No, there's no way.
When you come in here and lie,
Yeah, but
I gotta
there's
think
no,
that.
well, there's no way. There's no way. Sorry.
Well, then you have to be honest with us and
I
tell us
am.
you didn't do it for the money.
I did not do it for the money, and I did not do it.
Well, I knew that was coming, but here's the thing.
Well,
You can say that, and I know when you say it, you're saying, I hope they believe it, and I would try to believe
well,
it,
that's
but
all
it's-
you can say. I can't.
That's all you can say, because you're hoping that that sticks. But here's the thing, if we did not have evidence to the contrary, I would say, you know what, I kind of believe the guy, but the fact is, we can prove it. It's already been proven to me that you did it, by things we cannot discuss. And then, when you confess to your wife, that's you on the recording, right?
Well, I guess if you tape me, I guess.
Well, okay.
I don't know.
So we're not disputing that. That's your voice on there, right?
I guess if that's, I
Did
don't
you have a
know.
conversation with your wife at Abigail's?
Karlsen wants to deny that the conversation occurred, but even he isn't foolish enough to do so when he knows they have the recording. Try as he might, all of his lies can't explain away that rare instance of honesty.
Yeah,
About the death of your son and how you pushed the car over. Right?
yeah, we've Yeah.
we've recorded it, we had
Because-
witnesses there.
and like
Well,
I say,
let's just
you
stop
know,
right
well,
there. We know that's what it is. I was just hoping you weren't gonna try to take that.
no.
Okay.
We met many times and talked about
Right.
things,
So here it is.
and it's why, like I said,
We can, if we couldn't prove it, if it had not been proved to me, I would be standing by your side. And I still want to be here to try to help salvage. We're the two guys that don't think you did it for the money. We're the two guys,
I did.
but here it is.
We're not going to agree on this. I'm telling you, because
No, here's the thing. We know, and you solidified it. I thought My mind on you changed when you actually opened up and told your wife. When you came, I said, I told you guys, that's why, and your words came right out there and said it. We can prove that you knocked it over. When you actually confessed to it,
How can you prove I knocked it over if
we
you
can't
weren't there?
discuss that. We can't discuss that. But there's many ways.
We wouldn't be here, Carl, if we weren't able to.
You know, I'm sorry.
It's what?
I don't agree with you.
You're smiling.
No,
now.
I don't agree with you.
What part?
That I pushed it over. I don't agree with that. You guys don't understand that it's like when I'm talking to my daughter, who's a cop, and like I've told everybody, I'm not smart enough to outwit cops, okay? I'm not, you know? And it's like, to sit there and it's like, she's setting you up. And I talk to other people that are friends with us, and I'm like, does this make sense?
Well, see here, I don't think you're the kind of guy that planned anything. I think you had an opportunity to try to help your family, and you sacrificed what is probably the most difficult thing in the world to do.
I don't agree with that.
What's interesting, your phrasing. You
Well,
don't agree with it. You don't want to agree with it.
I don't
but
agree with it. I
the
don't
fact of the matter
acknowledge it. It's
the
not
fact that
true.
You have acknowledged it.
Carl, I think deep down, you knew this day was gonna come. When I go look at when we look at all your communications and all your text messages and emails and conversations over the months that we worked on this, I think you knew. I think part of you knew, deep
No.
down, that this day was gonna come.
No, because I didn't have anything to do with it. I really did not. There's no way.
I think it was,
There's no way I could kill a son. There's no way. I don't care how you say it, for whether it was for, it's for all that he's done to us. I stuck up for him and did everything.
what did you mean when you told Cindy that one of the reasons that you took the opportunity to do it was because he was a burden? What did you mean by that?
I don't know. You'll find out my memory's not the greatest because of the medicine I'm on. So things don't, I've been on a lot of drugs since 2001, 2002.
You bring up a good point here, and I don't necessarily.
I mean,
I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No.
But realistically, and this is no lie, you'll find out that sometimes my brain doesn't.
Well, you brought up something that we contested for a while, and I don't want to. You said you were on methadone. Is that true, or were you lying to Cindy?
Oh, it's true. Look at my medical records. I've been
I
on
know you've
methadone.
been depressed and things like that.
No, they gave. Well, I've been on antidepressants for I don't know how many years. I don't know how many years. I mean, really. I mean, and a lot of it is due to the medicine I'm taking.
Right, they caused it, I'm assuming, right?
That they cause it. And the methadone is the worst thing you can be on.
To make further your depression?
Oh, no, they're trying to get rid of it because, number one, it stops your heart, they found out. It could be a healthy athlete and it can stop your heart. But between the methadone, between the fentanyl, between the Vicodin,
Karlsen falls back on a faulty memory and blames his medication for any inconsistencies that might be in his story. Without any sort of history with such issues, the detectives are unlikely to believe that this isn't just an excuse to avoid answering the questions that point most strongly at his guilt.
all the other crap I take, for a while there, and all my kids will vouch for this, and even Katie, who's a cop. I could be sitting 2 feet from you, and you're not there. You're not there. You are not there.
What do you mean by that?
You're not there.
You
To
don't
me,
recognize that someone's there?
oh
or-
hell no. I'm looking through you. You're not there. I mean, it was pink elephants flying.
What time frame was this? Or is it current?
No, not now, no. I got a new pain specialist over in Clifton Springs, Dr. Holder. And I had to sign a contract with him that I can only take medicine that he subscribes to me. I had surgery. The doctor writes prescription for Vicodin. I'm already taking Vicodin from him. If I say go on and...
Oh, so they don't want you to mix by accident or
Well,
something like that? Or?
Well, by my contract, I cannot sign that prescription or turn it in and get it. because Dr. Holder, if they find out I'm out of the program, he releases me as his patient. And now I have no pain pills.
You can't have that, not the pain you're in.
No, I mean, I'm a train wreck, you know? And
that
so,
kind of
so
makes me
from,
think.
so from 2000, I'm gonna say from 2006 to 2000, I'm not perfect here, either 2009, 2010, you would not have rode in a car with me. You would not have. Because
Kind of like the film when you were driving with the lieutenant here?
What do
And
you mean?
he was all over the road there?
Well, no, I mean, oh, hell no.
You didn't feel the
You don't like riding with me either? No, it was more, if you're the passenger, you're driving. I got the wheel.
What, were you having hallucinations, or what was going on?
Oh, yeah, it's, you know, like you always see in the 60s and 70s, the LSD trips and all that, you know, the 3D shit going by. I mean, there's times that I would start talking in the living room.
Well, you mentioned that to Cindy.
And, yeah.
Didn't you say you were like in the eye, it was like a hurricane, you were in the eye?
And it's dead calm.
Did it make you do things you didn't want to do? I mean, because that's understandable too. Like, I didn't think that was the case. I knew you alluded to that. I didn't think you were in that bad of a state. But I don't know. I've not
Talk to
lived
my
in your-
daughter.
Right.
Talk to my daughter. I was popping 35 Vicodin a day on top of the
To that?
methadone.
Again, I'm going.
I mean,
knowing
but
that
I
you
did
this.
it. I did it because it took the pain away.
But did that? Again, what I'm talking right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking that I know what happened in there. That it was you pushed that car on your son. So when I'm asking, you know, I heard you allude on that recording when you were talking to Cindy, when you were opening up your heart and being honest. You're probably a lot like most police officers, and we don't want to ever express any vulnerability or any ability not to take care of our families or the people around us. And as you're telling Cindy what we know to be the truth, you mentioned for just a blip how you were like the methadone and you was like a hurricane, and you're talking about that in the same sentence, like when she's asking you to describe what happened with Levi. It had not occurred to me, but is it that the medicine, you didn't know what you were doing until afterwards? I mean, I don't know.
With the medicine, you don't know.
So is that, I mean, we know.
You don't, with the medicine, you don't know shit.
So what
You could be, I mean, if I walked, I had to have help.
What I'm saying to you right now, what I'm wondering is, we know that you caused that car to land on your son. We know that from your words and from other things. I never thought for a second until now that it could be a possibility that you were so under the influence of medicine that influenced it. Would that be too difficult for you to even discuss, that you were so out of control?
All I know is that with the medicine I'm on back then, I mean, up until Dr. Holder took me, why I'm alive, I don't know. I shouldn't be alive because
That's what happened,
because the drugs are.
Is that what happened?
No, I don't. No,
Is that what happened? We know the act occurred. We don't know what's going on in your head, and that's what today's about.
I don't know what was going on in my head back then.
So is it a possibility?
Let me
It's not mine.
just.
Please, go ahead. If you think I'm going to get that for you, I can't do it.
No.
You can't do it. You're on your own.
No, it's just the arm just.
But is that,
Back then, I don't know what I was doing.
did it affect you on that day and
I don't
cause you
know.
to do that?
I don't know.
Did it cause you to push the phone? Not the phone. The phone's in my head. Did that have an influence?
I did not have anything to do with this death.
Yeah.
I
But
really-
here's the thing.
I mean, you guys can prove whatever you want.
Right.
But I'm saying,
proved.
all I know is that back then, and Cindy will vouch, Alex will vouch, anybody that knew me will vouch that I was the biggest.
Karl, you did, we know that you did cause that car to fall on your son, period. I know it, Lieutenant knows it, and you know it. You know it. You cannot look at us and tell us a lie. It is not who you are. You have caused this to happen. You put yourself in this situation, and if you want to choose to be a person that we didn't expect you to be, if you want to choose to be a coward and not own up to your own, you know what? If that's what you choose to do, then maybe that's who you are.
No, it's not who I am.
Well,
But
you were a full man when you were talking to your wife.
Oh.
You made this decision. You know, let's look at each other and just be honest. Let's be honest right now.
There is so much there
car.
is so much bullshit I threw at her that day that
Listen
it's
to
not
me.
funny.
No, the bullshit is
No,
now.
oh no.
You can't. You're not the man we thought you were, and you know what?
Well,
if
then,
you can't do it, can you? You caused it to happen. You can't live with
I
yourself.
did not cause it to. I
You
can't.
did cause it to happen.
I feel I caused it
How do you mean by that?
because it was my truck.
Explain.
I had him do my job. You know, I feel. Wouldn't you feel guilty if you asked your kid to help you and something like that happens? Wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Wouldn't you feel guilty?
Yes.
I feel guilty every day of my life, and I told her that. You know, there's not a day that goes by that I don't sit there and think, I really wish it was me. And it's not because of anything I've physically done, it's because of the emotional.
You did. You did. And if you know what, if you want to lie about it because you're trying to save yourself, well, God bless you. I hope God forgives you. Because what you're doing right now, you had a chance coming into this interview to be a good person and try to salvage your soul and try to help yourself out and try to keep some respect and dignity for your family.
I have
But you know what you
respect.
chose to do? You've confessed to this. There's evidence to prove that you did this. And you keep talking about your family and your daughters. Do you think they're going to believe?
Why would I sit there and tell my daughter a cop and everybody else that I know that everything that all of a sudden now Cindy and I are talking about, it's like
Because you're trying to cover your ass.
No,
That's
I'm
why.
not.
And you know what? We're not the only two people that are going to see it that way.
Well, then let
You're
the world see
trying-
it that way.
You know what the world's going to see? Truly.
Oh, I
Truly,
already
think
know what
about
they're
it.
seeing.
You know what? Your own family, from what you told us, doesn't believe you.
Well,
They
there's
don't
a
believe-
few.
there's a few,
Because,
okay.
but there's
Few.
a few going on because of property issues.
Right. Well,
It's a whole lot.
Because of property issues,
Well-
they think you killed your son. So here's the thing. You know what? You want to make your bed
I'm
and
not.
cover it with lies and not stand up for what you did? That's fine. But you know what? You're telling a story so unbelievable, it only hurts you.
Well,
Don't
then
know
I'm
what can
sorry.
help you? I'm certain you will be sorry someday. Here's the thing. What can hurt you, it's very difficult to do. It apparently goes against your judgment. But what will help you is to stand up and say, and tell the truth. And tell the truth. That's what's going to help you, because it's going to help you.
I agree.
It's going to help you in your heart, and people will understand. They're going to have a difficult, let's be honest, they're going to have a difficult time that you did what you did, but they're going to at least have some respect for you and listen to why you did it.
No,
I think the thing of the key is that being under the influence of the methadone. If that's the case, then we
I don't know if that's true.
all I know is I didn't push it over because I love Levi more than anything.
I don't doubt that.
And it was very hard for Cindy.
It wouldn't be the first time that greed outweighed love, and Karlsen wasn't known for his affectionate nature with his children in the first place. Levi, like his sisters, had always suspected that Karlsen had killed their mother, and on some level, Karlsen may have recognized that suspicion. This would have made killing Levi an easy choice.
Cindy wanted me to basically take him and throw him under the bus and just let him go, which I did. But I would always try to see where he's at, find him. You know, I mean, always try to also know where my son is. You know, because
You don't have to worry about
I
that.
felt so bad. You know, I felt so bad for him struggling in life. You know, I mean, I did. I really did, because you could, him and I would talk. Sometimes he would come over and he wouldn't go in the house. You know, because him and her just didn't hitch. And it's like, but he would come talk to me. You know, and he knew I would give him, if I had $10, $20, or $50, you know.
Did you give him money to come over that day?
Yeah, I gave him money, you know.
To come over that day?
Well, when he was there.
What did you give him the money for?
For helping on the truck.
Okay, so he
But-
came over
but
that
it-
day to help you in the truck, and he was paid for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And, but it's also just to help him survive, because at the time, you know, he didn't have a job, you know? I mean, I used to get up at 3 in the morning and take him and his wife to their jobs over in other side of Canandaigua because his car broke down. That's how much I love my kid. My wife thought I was freaking nuts.
Carol, as much, no matter anything else, I do not doubt that you love your son.
You know.
Don't let me ever confuse that. I do
Oh,
not for a second
I-
think you
you
don't
know,
love your children.
You know, and it's like, the wife's like, geez, you're spending gas money, and I would have to go to work. So it's like, I'm getting up 3 hours earlier, because I worked up until, I think it's been 3 years. 3 years ago. 2.5 years ago. I worked up till. And Guardian, we had because you're not supposed to be on drugs, you know, because if you do plant
Even
damage.
prescribed medication?
Oh, no. Well, if it was prescribed, antibiotics, fine, but not narcotics. I mean, I've been on narcotics since 2001, 2002, and even the guys at work will tell you there was times that they pulled me off the fork trucks because I loaded the tractor trailers, and it was like, go sit down, because they catch me zoning out. I'd be sitting in the middle of an aisle with 10 tons of glass in front of me on the forks, and I'd be looking right through it, you know, and it was the only way to deal with the pain,
Well, I don't doubt.
you know, and it was something that, you know, I mean, one surgery, they opened me up the belly and they turned me over the same day, and they put a bed on they opened me up, pulled my guts out, put a cage in, cut half my back out, put me back together, closed it up, put a bed on my belly, flipped me over like a grilled cheese sandwich, laid me up the back. 6 days I laid on my freaking back with,
I understand that.
you know, I mean,
Your medical
you know, it's-
records are fact.
you know, and it's like, hey, you know, and did I misabuse the drugs? Probably. You know, I mean, the methadone, no, because, there was times I ran out early if it was, you know, bad at night, but I don't sleep more than 2 hours at a time because
That's
I can't
sleep
get up.
deprivation.
Well,
That will affect you also.
and even now, like, you know, when Cindy called me, I was sleeping. I don't sleep at nights. I can't. And even in my paperwork, no standing more than an hour, no sitting more than an hour. And if I sleep more than 2 hours at a time, I have to roll out of bed. You know, it's just the way I am.
I understand
You know,
that your
so
life
it's-
is
but,
not
I mean-
easy.
I mean, up till I got Dr. Holter, I was,
Since the detectives will not believe that he wasn't responsible for Levi's death, Karlsen is going to use his medication as a fallback plan.
it was pink elephants flying, man.
And when did you get Dr. Holder?
I think it's been 2 years.
So
Maybe.
was it after Levi's death?
It was, oh yeah, it was ways after Levi's death. But I mean, for a while there, I mean, for years, I mean,
To include the time of Levi's death,
Oh,
you were
yeah.
a mess on medicine?
oh, I was beyond a mess. Because I would sit there in the living room, and one story they told me is something about home. Or no, I was telling them something about home. And they're like, home what? And I'm like, you know, home. And Katie was there, and Levi, or Alex, and Cindy, and they're looking at me like, you know, I guess this is their story. And I'm like, home plate, you know, in baseball. Now, what the hell does that have to do with, I mean, out of the blue? You know, and my wife for a long time wouldn't let Alex ride with me. Wouldn't let my granddaughters ride with me.
You were a mess on those drugs?
And even when we divorced, she called over to Cassie, which was Levi's ex-wife, and said, don't let the girls go with Karl. And I was pissed about it, because I was getting better, you know, a lot better. And it was just this last January, you know. But, I mean, we would take rides down to North Carolina to her brothers or to my daughters in New York. And, you know, most time the passenger falls asleep. She was, you know, I was too stubborn to say I couldn't drive. You know, and she was like,
How would you rate that time of your life compared to the rest of your life?
as far as,
How bad was it on a scale of 1 to 10?
what do you mean?
That time of your life, like, do you look back and say that was my favorite time of my life, that period of time?
Oh, no. I don't remember a lot of it. I don't remember.
Was it a low point in your life?
Well, it was low because the pain, things I loved doing, I couldn't do anymore.
No, I think we should talk about the insurance. I think we're at that point. We have to
Okay.
talk, we have to address that. How much money was Levi making?
With overtime and stuff, he was probably bringing home $500-600 a week.
Okay.
Plus you get your
500 to
bonuses.
600 weeks?
Plus you get all
So
your
about
bonuses.
$2,000 a month?
Oh yeah, plus all of the
Okay,
bonuses you
so-
get.
So how much do you think he would make in a typical year?
I don't. I'm guessing. I'm just shooting a number. 40. 40 something, 40 to 45, something like that.
$45,000. Whose idea, and be careful here, whose idea was it for him to be insured?
His.
It was his idea to be insured?
Yes,
You
because
didn't-
because Guardian has this thing where they have like retirement people come in and all that stuff, and he wanted to do something.
Did you choose to go with the company from Guardian? Did anybody choose, Levi, you choose? Who'd you go with?
Can't remember his name right now.
Who drove there?
Levi did.
Okay. Whose car?
His car. His truck. He had a black Ford pickup.
So
That
these documents that say that it was your idea, and everybody else that says it was your idea to get Levi.
it wasn't my idea.
Okay. So he chose to. How much was the principal? How much is the first payment?
What do you mean?
The first payment to get the insurance into effect. Who paid
It
that?
I paid that, and I told him because he didn't have any money on him at the time there, but I told him I'd pay the first one, then the rest is up to you.
Where did you get the money to do that?
My checking account.
Okay. You got it from your checking account?
Yeah.
Did you do the bills at that point in your life? Or is it fair to say that Cindy was
Oh,
take
Cindy.
care of all
Well,
this stuff?
Cindy did the bills. She always did the
Did
bills.
Cindy know that you?
No.
And were you the beneficiary of this policy?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the policy for? What was the amount?
300,000.
Okay. And was there any riders?
What do you mean?
Were there any riders? Was there anything in addition that would subsidize that insurance policy, that would make it greater in certain circumstances occurred?
Well, he had, there was, which I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
He had, there was accidental death, which we didn't even talk about that I
Okay.
know of, but.
Were you there when he
he's-
signed that?
Yeah, I was in the room when he signed that.
Did you sign it as well? Because I don't know. if you
I
did.
don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So what would the
I don't
total
think
of the
so.
policy be?
It was 700, but he had,
$700,000.
right, and he had,
And who got that money?
I did.
Okay. And what were your plans with that money? What did you tell
Part
Levi?
of it,
Yeah.
Levi wanted, part of it goes to the girls.
Did he want you to have it?
I had total control because he did not, one thing, because
Who spent that money?
my wife and I,
Okay. Did Levi's children spend that money?
no.
Okay. Is that who it was intended for?
Levi intended that the money be used for his daughter's care. His mistake was allowing his father to have any control over the finances.
Well, yeah,
It was intended for his
yes,
children, right?
but we split,
And
no,
his
okay,
what? The mother of his children, right?
not for her.
It wasn't for her?
Levi, oh,
Does
no.
she, to this day, does she know that there was a policy?
No, he
Okay.
did not want, and
Has his children benefited from that money?
no, and it wasn't supposed to be for now. It was supposed to be for later.
Does
when
the
they-
money exist now?
Part of it does.
How much?
I don't know. Ask my wife.
Okay. So you spent the money.
We both, her and I spent money,
Okay.
okay?
But when did
And-
she come to know that there was a policy?
Right after he died,
Okay.
okay? But the one thing is that I never knew, the policy really shouldn't have been any good. Because Levi didn't do his physical. You have to do the physical.
Do you know when the physical was scheduled for?
I had a lady, because Levi didn't have a phone at the time, I had a lady call me and say, because I was back up on the phone list, and said that you need to get a hold of Levi for him to call us to make an appointment for his physical. Just like on my life insurance that I had, they come out, do your blood test and a weight and just a random little health check.
Let me ask you this. Did anybody, aside from you and Levi and the insurance agent know that Levi was insured?
I think some of his friends.
Who?
Clayman, Steve Clayman, it was a roommate. I think a lot of his friends knew his.
Okay.
And,
Has he discussed being insured to them?
I think he did one time.
Because it looks, this whole
I know
scenario
what you're
looks horrible.
I know. I never knew there was an accidental death. I didn't know that.
So you collected, in reality, how much money did you
I
collect?
got 700.
Okay, $700,000.
Right, and then we put.
How much did his family get?
Whose?
Levi's family, not you.
50. They got, well, she got nothing, and it wasn't supposed to go to her. That was his fear. He did
Okay.
not want.
Did he insure himself so that you would benefit? Was
he-
his plan for you to have
For
close
us-
to $750,000?
It was, no, it was for me, it was for us, he wanted, and for me to take care of his girls when they got to
And
college.
have you done that?
Karlsen tries to avoid giving a straight answer. The money was intended for his grandchildren, but Karlsen had already spent a considerable amount on himself.
They're not in college age yet.
Do you have the means to do that?
Well,
Do
what,
you have that money now, or did you spend that?
we've spent, oh no, hold on now. We've spent it, but we've also spent it because Cindy's got some.
How much?
She should have 45,000 or so.
Okay.
I had some, paid some bills with it, because because the stupid mistake I made is that money, if I kept it in my name, would have been strictly mine. We met with an investor to say, okay, this is what we got, this is what we want to do for the girls, the whole 9 yards.
Why didn't you tell Cindy that you were involved in this insurance thing?
She would have a fit about anything if I spent a dime on it.
Right.
And that's just the way it was, you know? And so it's, so we met with the guy and we were camping out in Junior's campgrounds. And I don't know what all we talked about, but that, you know, Levi, the one thing Levi did not want is for Cassie, to have anything to do with any money. I mean, he just hated her with a freaking passion.
Did you use any of that money to pay for his funeral?
Yes, oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Where did the guardian money go? Was he insured through a guardian?
Yeah.
Was that was used to pay the funeral?
No, I don't think, no. I don't know. I know I paid for it.
So
I'm not sure.
Let's go through it right now.
No, it
Before his
could,
death,
wait a minute, it couldn't
before
have.
his death, you and him go down and he becomes insured.
Right,
You're the beneficiary
right.
for what totals will be $700,000.
Yeah, which I only thought was 300 because I didn't know there was a accidental death. Why would he?
Yeah, why would he do that?
I don't know.
And then he died in an accident.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, strange.
Well, I know what you're getting at, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't.
not being
Oh,
coy.
no.
I'm being straight up with you.
Oh, I
as
know.
I have been.
And it's like, I never knew there was. Plus, he didn't get his physical. You know, because I didn't, once he passed away,
But they paid off.
It was a while later, and the insurance guy, he came to the funeral, he seen it in the paper, came and talked to me. And he was like, if I'm not mistaken, we brought up that, you know, Levi didn't get his physical, because they don't have to honor it. Because they didn't know if he, whatever, you know,
He won.
if he was healthy or not.
How long do you think it had passed from the time that you may or may not have signed, but when you went with Levi to get this policy that included an accidental death rider that was for $700,000, how much time elapsed between then and the time that he died in an accident on your land?
I don't
Under your vehicle?
I don't know.
Was it your vehicle that fell on him?
I'm trying to think if we ever switched it over, because I never drove it on the road.
Did this happen while you were in the barn?
Did what happen?
Did the car fall? Did you witness it falling?
No.
What about the radio, Carl?
The
Talk to me
radio,
about the radio.
the radio was on when we got home.
Did Levi listen to country music?
At times, it wasn't a
You're
big...
the only person. You're the only
Yeah, but
person to ever say that.
Right.
Okay, so that's not
I mean, what?
He didn't listen. Everybody else
It was
shot.
rare. It was rare. I mean, but it had to be the newer country, but it was rare.
But-
He normally, but you got to look at the radio. It was older than bejesus,
So
and
what-
it was,
Came out on its own?
well, the dial was like, I think I still got it in the garage. It's
Did
got
you turn
coat
that
hangers.
radio on? Did
What's
you
that?
turn that radio on that day?
No,
No?
no.
You certain?
I
You know where that radio is right now?
It's in the garage, I think.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. Because it's got a coat hanger on it. But the dials, you get whatever you.
This doesn't look good for you, right?
I know. You guys can think what you want. I know.
We don't think. It's
Well,
beyond think. It's beyond think.
I don't know what
It's a
to-
matter of fact.
I don't know what to tell you.
You know what I wish you would tell me? And honestly,
Well,
God,
I mean, I know
we
you
want
want-
nothing more is the truth.
And I know you guys want me to just spill my guts saying, oh, I pushed it over, I killed him, and I can't say that because I didn't.
Although you have said that.
I played the game with her.
Okay, what's that game?
The
Tell my
game
wife I
is
killed my
like,
son?
I wanted,
What game is it?
the game that I didn't understand
How
when she was.
how did this game work out? You say it was a game. Tell me what's the game? A game implies
No,
to me
what-
that there's
no,
some
what-
outcome and that you're doing something to achieve an
What,
outcome.
no,
What is that game?
What I didn't
Because
understand.
she was hoping that you would tell her. In her heart, she wanted
I
to hear
think
you.
so, but
Yeah.
it's just because.
That's what mothers want to hear.
Well, no, she wasn't his mother.
It wasn't a game. It
Well,
wasn't a game. Because
all I'm
it's
saying-
ridiculous.
yeah,
You know
well-
why it wasn't a game? Because what game includes you saying
No.
you pushed a car on your son?
well, what game is like, I wanted to see how far, and the
You know
same
what game
thing.
she was playing? I want the truth. Can I be with this man if he
No,
knocked the car?
okay.
That's the game she was
And
playing.
this is what I asked her.
What game were you playing?
And what it,
And what about
okay,
the part,
whoa,
what about,
whoa.
what about
All
the
right,
part where
no.
you were saying, is this a trap? What about that part?
Because I knew it was.
You know what they call that?
Yeah.
Consciousness of guilt.
Well, you can call it what you want, but it's like, what, and like I asked her many times, and it's like, what woman, if I came clean and said, I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I told her everything I said at the restaurants, it's like, would you want to lay next to somebody who
In
killed
fact,
your
that's
kid?
exactly what you said. You
Yeah.
asked her that question.
Yeah, but I said, would you close your eyes at night?
So you were trying to weigh her to see if she's a good woman?
No, it was to see where this is going, because at that point,
Where could it be going?
oh, I didn't know. I really didn't know. But it's like, what woman would listen to somebody say, yep, I took the life of my son, and if you say that and come clean, I'm going to be with you the rest of my life.
Yeah, it sounds silly that you fell for it now, doesn't it?
No, I didn't fall for it. Because it's like, okay, we're going to see how far this goes. And I kept telling Katie. I kept
How
telling my
many times did
neighbors.
you call Katie?
We talked about it.
How many times
One
before
time.
it happened?
What if
Before you confessed to Cindy, how many times did you tell Katie that you were going to do that? You never did.
No, I talked to Katie once after
Okay,
we talked to
but
it
how many
like
times
one
before-
time.
How many times between the first time you met Cindy and the second time you met Cindy, where you ultimately confessed those 2 times? How many times? Not once, right?
We only talked to Katie. I only talked to
Right.
Katie
So
one
not
long
once
time.
did you tell her, hey, I'm going to play this game.
No.
Now, you never told anybody you were playing a game.
Oh, my neighbors I did.
Okay, which neighbors? The butcher?
Well, that's Donna Whitmore I talked to, and
What neighbors, so we can
Amy
go
Lapp.
talk to them?
Amy Lapp.
When did you tell her you were going to play a game?
Oh, there's been a couple times that we've talked because she's been.
And you told her, I'm going to
I sit
confess
there
to my
and
wife
says,
that I killed Levi.
oh, I'd sit there and I told her, I said, I'm going to see how far I can push this.
Okay. What's her full name?
Amy Lapp. She lives at. It's my old address.
Okay.
865. Is you cross 96A on Yale Farm Road? It's the first house on the left.
When did you tell her that?
Karlsen's friend did not verify his story when asked by the police.
We've been off and on talking for, because the first time Cindy mentioned something to me, I talked to her. I said, does this sound right to you?
And who was Amy Lapp to you?
Just a friend. They bought her old house, her and her husband, you know.
Did you talk to her husband about this?
No, because Amy, she picked me up, she took me to the hospital, because I asked Cindy, I said, look, when I had my surgery, and I asked Cindy, I said, do you think you could take me down for my surgery and then pick me up when it's done? She goes, no, I can't. And I'm like, you know, what the hell is
So
the
did
big
you
deal?
tell Amy Lapp's husband that you were playing a game with your...
No, because I don't see him much, because,
Does he know that that Amy took you to the doctor?
oh, yes,
Okay.
yeah, oh,
Do you
yeah.
think is there a possibility Amy told her husband that you were playing a game with your wife?
I would say probably yes,
Okay.
yeah, easily, because they, you know, and actually, hang on. Her and I talked a couple times about it, And then she walks up and down the road for exercise, and she stopped a couple times, we talked. And then one time, and you guys probably read it on the police report, I got my truck taken because I had an overlaps back in July.
Insurance overlaps?
Yeah, and it was up in Williamson. I had actually went to dealer direct in Syracuse and sold the truck. And then I was headed to Williamson. There was a truck that I wanted to get. It was an older truck, but I just wanted to get it. And probably 200 yards in front of the place I was going, I get pulled over. I get, what do they call it, pinged now?
Your plate?
Yeah. I don't know. I think they call it getting pinged.
Okay.
And insurance overlap. City guy pulls me over, and it's like, shit. It's like, what's he pulling me over for? And he comes up, tells me insurance overlap, and I'm like, okay, well, they have to take the truck. Take the plates off, cut the plates in two, and I'm like, so here I am in Williamson with no vehicle. And I live where I live. It's like, how do you go from point A to point B? And I knew Cindy had a doctor's appointment, so I went up to or called her, and she goes, well, I'm just going in, I'll call you when I get out. And I told her, she goes, well, I have an appointment with Alex to see his doctor. So she couldn't help me out. So I figured, well, might as well start walking, and I'll try calling. So I called Amy Lapp. She wasn't home, so I had to wait till like 4 or 4:30. Finally get a hold of her, and her husband came up. I mean, I walked from Williamson, the west side of Williamson, probably 6 miles before they finally, it was just dark, and they picked me up. And on the way back, I think we had mentioned, I had mentioned something about this, with Cindy, that, wanted to know this. And I mean, Amy was just like, it made no sense, And I says, look, and I told her, I says, I'm going to play this and see where I go, because it's not making sense. It's not making sense. And I says, what woman would have you admit to doing something like that and lay next to you at night? I said, I certainly wouldn't. I says, if you're going to do it once, you're going to do it twice. I says, what would you, so I knew right from the beginning. It was like, I want to see where this is going, because I didn't know if it was a divorce matter.
Karlsen's wife did not want anything from him out of the divorce. She was concerned for her life and also believed that he would continue to ruin their finances.
She's trying to get more, because where a lot of the money went, Cindy she bought a house over in Newark with that money.
What money? The money that...
For Levi's.
The money you got after Levi died?
Yeah, I didn't know she bought the house.
Okay, did you give her that money?
I didn't give it to her.
Okay, how'd she get it?
She took it out of the account.
Did she know that the insurance policy was going to be in effect? She didn't know about that, right? Cindy didn't know that...
But this is years after the...
Years after?
This is years after. This was just this past
Tell
fall.
us about that day, the day that Levi died. Tell us what happened as best you can remember from the beginning of that day until the end.
I guess doing stuff around the farm, whatever. We had a funeral to go to. Cindy and I went to it. Levi was there, came in his truck, parked it. He was working on it. I went in. Well, we were both working on the truck. I went in, took a shower, got cleaned up, and went out.
What was he doing on the truck?
Working underneath it.
Okay. Well, what was he working on?
The transmission lines were leaking,
Okay.
and the brakes to the front were leaking. It's an old 1970...
Farm truck?
Yeah, it used to be his pickup, but the box, you had to have straps holding the box together because there's no tailgate to it. I mean, and it had a plow hookup, so we had an old farm plow I put on, so I used it to plow the driveway. But the power steering line, I mean, you put a cord in, 2 cords runs out, so...
Have you ever... Levi's helped you in the past?
Oh, yeah, yeah. He's always, I mean, once he knew, I would always slip him a little. He came out a little more often, and it was always, as long as he had and I'd always buy, I'd go up to the store, if I knew he was coming out, he loved Mountain Dew. It was like an IV fix for him. So I'd give him a 6-pack of Mountain Dew and throw him some money. Whether it was, like I say, 10, 15, 20, whatever I could.
Did you give him money that day?
Yeah,
Okay.
$50 bill.
So about what time did he show up?
I to say, it was like a couple hours before we left. I'm just saying 10 o'clock.
So when he shows up, what car was he driving?
He was driving his Ford pickup.
Okay. And did he come into the house, or did you meet him in the driveway, or what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, he might have came in and talked to Alex. I can't remember every.
And you worked with him?
Yeah, I worked on him with a truck, and then I told him.
Who jacked it up?
Well, I had been working on it.
So it was jacked up already?
Yeah, it was partially jacked up because I'd been working on the back, getting the brake lines off the SN, because I don't move around very well, and I need I just don't. So we ended up. I unhooked the back brake line that comes back that goes to both sides, and then when we got there, we were working on the front. And I said, look, I got to go in and take a shower because we got to get going. So he kept working because we were going to take the power steering pump off because the power steering pump, the metal line that goes into it had snapped off, and he had a rubber hose that went over it. So with the pressure, it just keeps blowing it off. And so I went back out, took a shower. We got ready to go. I run out, give him some money, and then came back in the house. We both got in the car, took off. And we got home it was after 4.
Let's go back a little bit there. So what's the last thing you saw Levi doing?
He was under the front of the truck, and in front of the front axle. Underneath, because the lines go across the front axle there.
Okay.
He was
Did you say anything
between the
before you
front wheels.
Did you say anything before you left?
Just see you later and thanks, or what, just.
So you had gone out to the car with your wife, and then you went into the barn?
Yep, because I forgot to give him the money.
Did you give him the money?
Yep, $50 bill.
Okay. So, but did you give it to him while he was under the car?
I handed it to him, yeah, and he stuck it in his pocket.
Okay. And then what happened? What else happened?
And then I left.
Okay.
Because he was in front of the bumper.
Was the radio on at that time?
Yep.
Okay, what was it playing?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he was between the front axles,
Okay.
or the front wheels.
Karlsen may have forgotten that the detectives have told him that they have evidence to prove that he pushed the truck on Levi. By describing the scene, he may be giving away more than he realizes.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then I left.
You left with Cindy to go where?
To her aunt, I believe it was, died.
Okay. And then what happens?
So we were over there, we went to the reception, which was at I think a VFW or something like that. Just a short time, then we got back at it was after 4. And then I went out in the garage, and because we were surprised he was still there. And found him. He was now more under the side of the truck, behind the. If you went in from the passenger door, that way. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of.
He was laying, instead of, if the truck is this way, he was laying this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went in, yelled, banging on the door, and told her to call ambulance, and started jacking it up, and she come out just as I was, because we'd laid a carpet down on the floor. And that's what I used to slide him out on, because he was on it. I grabbed him by the pants, but everything slid with it.
Does your wheelbarrow analogy you told Cindy, is that accurate?
Well, yeah, it could, yeah, oh yeah.
No
There's
doubt
no
about it.
doubt the only jack that was there was the big railroad jack, which is my father's. And it was an old one that they used to use way back when, I guess, what we were told, is it lifted up the old railroad irons. It's only that high off the ground, and then you got to use a 6-foot bar to make it work. And that was underneath the front bumper.
Do you need a drink of water or anything?
Yeah, do you have one? Well, it's the medicine.
I can get you one. Yeah, and if you need to use the bathroom,
No,
just let us know.
I'm fine. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just
Are you hungry?
No. God,
Let's
I
get you a
ate
drink
a
of water.
You
pumpkin.
want me to stay here? Excuse us one second.
Tired of it. Just tired.
Let's go through, I know you're tired of your neck issues right now, but if you need to stretch or sandwich or anything like that, let us know.
No, I mean,
Let's talk about, again, so we're clear on the whole insurance thing. When did that ever first come up? When was the first time you heard about it?
when he went to the meeting, Guardian had their meetings, Guardian was doing away with their 401ks. You know, they were lowering it down to where it was just, because when I first started, it was 4%. If you put in 4%, they match you for it, which was really good. But over time, the economy and everything, and they took away the medical retirement from the people that.
So about when was this?
The
I'm a long-standing friend of
I don't know.
so.
Spring, summertime, whatever, and they have they call in people from retirement agencies, investment agencies. It's like a job, it's similar to a job fair, but it's like a health. Guardian now has their own. They do their own insurance. They don't hire out a medical company. So the healthier you are, the lower the rates are for them. The lower they pay. And so they bring in these people to talk to everybody. You're paid, mandatory, to sit in there and listen to the spiel, which, nobody wants to hear, but because it's well, it's going to cost you money, but it's retirement, it's medical benefits, it's investments. And they had one of the investment companies come in. I don't know which one it was. And they tell you, if you put 2% more in, this is what it'll be. And Levi was he talked to me about it, and I said, well, you call somebody, set up a time, and I'll go with you, and because he didn't know shit from, with that kind. I don't know that much about it, but it's he wanted me to go, so I went with him.
It would have been easy for Karlsen to bring up the idea in a way that made Levi believe he had thought of it himself.
And we met, talked, and Levi said what he wanted to have, and
Well, what did he say he wanted to have? And who did you meet with?
hang on. He's over in Newark. I got the number, I got his card at home and stuff. I know him real well, and he's a really good guy. I can't think of his name.
Okay, I'm sorry. How long after this thing at work did you two go and get the insurance? How long after you think?
It was, I don't know, I really don't. I mean, it couldn't have been more than a month or so maybe, because it was on his mind. And for him to have the days off on weekends, because he has to work 2 weekends, plus he was volunteering for overtime, because, hey, time and a half, and, it's a lot of money, He was living in an apartment down in Geneva, where the post office is. There's that little side street that comes back towards the ice rink. Between the post office, there's another, but it's a real narrow street. Come down that about halfway. He was living in an upstairs apartment that was maybe twice the size of this. But for him, he was close to work, and didn't have to spend money on gas because his truck got about 4 miles a gallon. And so I went with him, and the guy laid it out, whatever, and Levi did not want to do a trust fund.
Okay.
He was more afraid that Cassie was going to get money, that she could get her hands on it. And it's and it was his call. I mean, I sat there and, sort of threw my 2 cents in, but it was all his decision.
What were your 2 cents?
Just on certain things, because, that just what they were talking about, what I thought of, things that would help him, and, but it was his call on everything he did, so, and the guy was telling him, this is what you can do, this is what you can do, and so then I told him, I said, look, it's, because he had figured out his benefits and all that, and his bonuses and all that crap, and I'm like, okay, well, I will pay today's, but I says, you're on your own after this. I says, because your mom's,
Did you write a check?
yeah, yeah. And I says, your mom's gonna kill me for this, but I says, it's something I'll do for you, but, you know. And when I did finally tell her, you know, I mean, she's not happy, because it's, you know, why, you know, it was, oh man, why, you know, why give it to him, and it's like,
I'm sorry, when did you tell her?
what?
You said when she was upset when you told her.
She never knew till like a month ago,
Okay.
you know, about that I paid the
Okay.
premium thing.
Gotcha.
And it's like, you know, come on, it's, you know, I look at it like, you know, if you got a kid that's struggling, even though he's been a pain in the ass to you, he's still your kid, you know? I mean, you know, it's like when he first moved out, we called the sheriff's office. We got him into that for kids. He has to have an officer he reports to. What's the program? PINS. And we got him on that, and they said, look, if he leaves, don't give him nothing. Don't give him a penny. Because sooner or later, he's going to learn. It's tougher out there than, because all we were asking is that, you know, you work on the farm like everybody else, you clean up, you know, things like that. And then he all of a sudden, my sister-in-law, and they're helping him, and we couldn't find him for like 3 days. And my sister-in-law told me, when I finally found out he was with her, she goes, well, we didn't want to rat him out. He's my kid. Just tell me where he is. I don't care. If it's your kid that comes to me, it's like you got a choice. Either you call your dad or your mom, or I'm calling them, just to let them know where you are. Because I drove all over the county trying to find him. And here my own sister-in-law and brother, because they didn't want to rat him out. It's like, come on. And everybody knew that's what happened, you know, and knew that she had ratted him out, or would rat him out if she'd said. But no, I mean, he wanted it this way, and he talked to the guy, and they talked back and forth, and I'm like, okay, you know, it's his. It's whatever you want to do. And he wanted me to be the trust because he did not want, I know we had talked a little bit that he didn't want her to be anything with her name on it, a trust that she could possibly try to, they were too young to get married. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I talk to her now, I get the girls now and then, and my wife gets the girls now and then. I mean, I just went over and we took them out to dinner for their birthdays and stuff like that. I took them over Halloween pumpkins, and I take her over meat because I butcher my own beef a lot. So I took her over a whole big thing of steaks and hamburger. I mean, I tried to...
Like many suspects, Karlsen plays up anything that could put him in a positive light. He portrays himself as a loving but firm father who only had the best interest of his family at heart. When it comes to murders that are committed by family members, caregiving and violence are not mutually exclusive.
You know, I know she's married. She's doing 100% better as a woman. She got her shit together. She quit school 3 months before her high school graduation because she was fat. She weighed 110 pounds when she was pregnant. And I'm like, fat people go to school every day. You're pregnant 3 months before you graduate. You quit? I was pissed. It's like, come on. You know, but she got her GED. She works out in Waterloo over by the county house building at one of those elderly homes. And, you know, doing good. And she got remarried to a guy that's bigger than all three of us. And it's like, come on, you know. But I try to help her out. Well, if she needed money, she knows I would give it to her. You know, and I've always told her, if the girls need anything, if they need glasses, they need braces, they need, and that's what things were there for. We never took money out of the accounts for the girls till we separated.
Okay.
Because
Why'd you take
her
that?
name, Cindy's name, was on the accounts. Mistake number one, which I didn't learn until after the fact, is
How
that
did, I just want to backtrack a little bit. How was the insurance written up? How was it, it was in his name and you're the only beneficiary?
Correct.
Okay.
It didn't have anything with the girls or anything.
Okay, so what happens with it? So after his death, where does the money go? Tell me exactly where the money goes.
I met the guy, him and the guy, I can't think of his name right now. Him and I would meet for coffee and stuff. And just, I mean, we just got along, you know, as friends. And so if he calls me one day, says, hey, I got the money, it's in a checking account, he gave me a checkbook. Excuse me. So we met, and at Dairy Queen in Geneva, he gave me the checkbook, told me all the ins and outs, what it's about, how to do
Did
it.
anybody know about it at that point?
Cindy did. And so I went down, met him, got the checkbook, come home, and her and I talked about things, and then that spring, I paid all of his funeral bills. His mother was buried out in California. So what we did is my daughter and my sister-in-law that lives in California, she came out to the funeral, and we took the ashes, and each one of my kids have got necklaces with, they're the kind that you can put ashes in. So, as gruesome as it sounds, and you would never want to do this, is I went through his ashes with a freaking funnel and a filter, and I filled up their necklaces.
Oh, okay.
And I bawled like a baby the whole way through. You know, I mean, because you don't get burnt down into ashes. Okay, there's chunks. There's bone chunks that don't get burnt. And, excuse me, but you don't want to do that. And I handle it well until I talk about it. I do. I've never gotten over it. You don't. We just celebrated 4 years Tuesday. I went to the cemetery, spent a while there, and took pictures.
Celebrated what?
I went to the cemetery to put
Oh,
stuff
I thought you
down.
said you celebrated.
Oh, no, my wife Alex was having a hard time, and I told her I was gonna go to the cemetery and put,
It was the anniversary of his death.
yeah, I was gonna put something on the grave. So I bought a pot, almost like a Christmas type thing. It's got pine branches and cones and red ribbon, because it's like, no, you ain't gonna get flowers, it ain't gonna last. So I thought this was more, I don't know, it's the only thing I could really find, but. And so I took pictures of it, and I sent them to her, and she, you know, texted back, well, thanks, Alex, will really like, you know. So anyways.
Whose idea was it, Carl, to go to the?
Mine. If you guys got my text, you'll see it, it's on there that I told her that I was gonna go to the cemetery Tuesday.
She didn't bring it up first?
No. When she called me back, she said, well, if you go to town, or she texted me back, whatever, when you go to town, could you get something and put on it for us? You know, another pot, and I just like, you know, thought, you know, maybe we can make this just one big thing, and, you know, I just thought it would be nice that, sort of saying it was from all of us.
Makes sense. So back to with the money.
Yep,
You meet him at a Dairy, did you say Dairy Queen?
at Dairy Queen.
Okay, Dairy Queen, and they give you a checkbook, and what happens from that?
Then it's my money.
Is it yours and Cindy's name?
No.
Just your money?
But I didn't know this,
Mhm.
okay? I didn't know this till years later, that if I kept it the way it was, she could never get a penny. If we divorced, say, a month from then, she could never go after that. I didn't know this, because I always thought what you make in a marriage is both yours. In life insurance, that once you take it and put it in an account where her name and your name are on it, it's equal property.
The laws concerning how assets are divided in a divorce vary from state to state. It isn't surprising that Karlsen wasn't aware of those details, since his first inclination is to murder a spouse rather than file for divorce.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I didn't care. I mean, her and I are together. I mean, we, you know, if you want something, you get it, you do whatever, you know, we paid bills for the funeral, well, I bought, getting back to going to California, we had the ashes, and I bought another urn, and my sister-in-law took it with her. And I gave her money to buy a headstone out there, and we put a headstone next to his mother. So part of the family, because that's where his grandparents are, and that they could have their daughter and my son, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They could mourn,
Family
they
together.
have a place to say, hey, my kid's here. So we did all that, so by spring and stuff, everything I had to go through, because I had to go through being the thing for the courts, I had to go through all the,
Executor.
yeah, all the values and all the,
Can I ask you this, was there
Yes.
something with jewelry and your daughter-in-law, where she asked for jewelry and you said, no, we have to sell it for the funeral or something? Does that make sense to you?
no. Come on, I had money for the funeral.
Yeah,
The
I don't
funeral,
know. I know I've
no,
heard
we
that.
never,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Was it the wedding ring or something?
yeah, Cassie came to talk in the driveway
Oh, no,
about
no.
about the wedding rings and.
no, that was, hang on.
Seemed to be Carl said something about he was using
If I'm not mistaken, Cassie had, I had given each one of the kids something from their mother. Aaron, Levi, and Katie, my three. And she had, if I'm not mistaken, she had Levi's mother's wedding ring,
Okay.
the oldest girl
and I wanted it back,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And we had a little bit of a tussle, because there was something,
So she didn't say, I want the wedding bands back to give
Yeah.
to my daughters, and you didn't say that, that you had to sell everything to pay for the funeral.
oh no, God no, we had more than enough money for that.
Seems like it.
No, it's something that I believe it was, and you'll have to ask Cindy this or whoever, but she had Levi's mother's wedding ring.
I think we're talking about two different things.
So maybe we are.
Yeah.
Because I've got rings right now at home. They're on my windowsill of Levi's mom's. And I showed her, Katie was home the other.
Where are Levi's wedding rings? His wedding ring?
I don't think he ever had one.
So let's go back to where you have the money. You explained to us how if it was in her name, she would never, if it was just in your name, or you can pick
Yeah,
up.
well, I never knew it. But, and this is something I learned later, that if I would have, say, kept the checkbook for myself, she's not entitled to any of that money. I didn't know that. I always thought, you know, if you get it, it's 50-50. Well, I'm not worried about that. You know, at that time, things were good, and then in the spring, we were camping at Junius, and Cindy and I talked that we need to figure out, we sort of let the dust settle. And we talked to the insurance guy that Levi dealt with, and he met us out at our campsite, because we rented the campsite for a year out at Junius. And,
You went out to your campsite?
yeah, out at Junius Pond, so,
Because that's where you lived at the time, or?
well, no, we have a big, it's an older fifth wheel camper, and she liked camping, so she'd bring the girls out there in the summer. Ivy and Electra, Levi's too, and I would go from work, sometimes I'd go home and spend the night, because with all the animals I had, and then I'd run out there and go camping with them.
So that was just where you happened to be, and that's why you went out there?
Well, yeah, she was staying there and said, well, let's have him come out here if he will. So we met there and we figured out, you know, investments and for the girls and what things were and all this other stuff. And we went ahead and did it. He wrote up the papers,
And
and
so how did it break out from that point?
we put,
And then, a couple weeks later, I sit down.
was it 200,000 in each one of the girls. They had life insurance. They had,
There's no doubt in my mind.
once
Probably did both.
Once the life insurance was paid for, there's something with the life insurance that if you pay it within a certain time, then it's free, you know, you don't, it comes out of the account or something like that. I'm not
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
You know, it like whether the interest pays for it or something like that. And so we did that, and we took the rest of the money and put it in.
During both marriages, Karlsen would shuffle funds around to make it more difficult to figure out where the money was going.
Investments, I don't think it's a money market. It's whatever the market is. And we still kept the checkbook to where we could pull from it, you know. But with her name on it, she has as much access as I have to it.
So what happens then?
And then we lived happily ever after till this fall. And then,
So when did and I don't mean to interrupt you, but the money were put into these accounts for the kids,
mhm,
and they remained in those accounts until when?
till this fall.
Okay, what happens then?
And then she decided that she wanted to leave. She wasn't, well, it wasn't official. Hate to get personal, but it's like she slept in our bedroom, I slept in another bedroom. And my daughter Katie, which is probably the most, she's 26, she went to RIT for 1 year and graduated with a 4-year degree. It tells you the brain she's got. She is a great kid. She's done so, I mean, she's, with law enforcement, if you look at her record, you wouldn't believe she can do that much in that short of a time. And she's been my right arm. You know, and Cindy's always been a little jealous, envious, because she says Katie does no wrong. But Katie can, but it's, I've never really seen her do anything wrong, but it's like, Katie's my right arm. You know, her and I are like two peas in a pod, and it's just, that's the way we've always been, you know. And so we, I forgot, what were we talking about?
We were talking about how the money was divided up and
Oh,
until this
so anyways,
fall.
so this fall, we, she said, we were in separate bedrooms, and she goes that she wanted, half all the money. And I'm like, oh, great, you know, I mean, and she goes, well, you know, and Katie was pissed at her because for 3 months, she was like, I want a divorce, no I don't, yes I do, no I don't, but we stayed in separate beds. And poor Alex is caught in the crossfire. So finally we, both of us have to sign, we signed, and she took half the money. Well, she left me with all the debts from the business, the duck business.
So she took half the money and you had half the money.
Right.
How does it go? And it's probably because I don't know much about
But-
insurance, but if it's in the girl's name, in your granddaughter's names,
It's not a trust.
so
It
it's
wasn't
not
a trust, no.
I thought that you put them into accounts for them.
We did, but they weren't trusts.
Okay. But so then you took them back out of accounts for them?
Right,
Okay. And why was that?
because she wanted half.
Okay.
And which was, I'm like, that's not right.
How much were their accounts, Carl, for the two grandkids?
I think I think we put 100 and some in each, and which it would have been for like Electra, which was the oldest. You know, she would have got not quite as much as the younger one because of age by the time they were 18. But when you take it out, and this is what I told Cindy, I says, leave it in there. I fought tooth and nail. And I talked to the lawyer about it, that it's half her money. Because I have Art Petronio in Geneva. And I'm like, well, I want it back. This was entrusted to me to give to these girls. And he goes, you're stupid. And I'm like, well, why? He says, oh, that's when I found out about, if I'd have left it in my name, she couldn't have got anything. But being that I put her name on the accounts, and the only reason why we did is if I died, that she wouldn't have to go through probate court,
No idea.
something like that. And I told him, I said, well, we did it because the insurance guy said, because if you die, she's got to fight for it. But if you put her name on it, it will just roll over to her. And I says, well, let's do that. I mean, we were all happy getting along. I mean, nothing was wrong. And so we did. But when you take it out, the penalties you acquire are like 42% of it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. You put this money in, just like our money we put in there. You know, what you might put 100,000 in, you're only gonna get 50-some thousand back.
Karlsen was never able to grasp financial matters and had a long history of making poor decisions.
So, I'm gonna go backtrack. So
No, that's fine.
details. About 100 for each of the granddaughters?
Yeah, it was 100, it was over 100 in each one.
Okay, so that leaves about 500,000. And where was that?
That was still in the, it stayed in the checking
In the
account.
checking. And were you using that as, was it you just leaving it in the checking account for a rainy day? What was the purpose of that?
Well, we paid bills, we took the girls places, I mean, we lived off our own money, but we also used that too a little bit. And then when...
How much of that was left come fall?
This fall?
Well, whenever the things
Well, we
started
took
going.
it, well, when there was only, well, when we paid the girls, we put our money in, there was only 4 years ago or whatever, only like, or 3.5 years ago, there's only like 50,000 in it.
Well, I'm missing something here. It's probably just my...
Because, no, we invested all the other money. We took the money for the girls, we took 400,000 out for the investments for her and I.
Okay, and that remains?
That, no, we pulled everything out.
So that's what I guess my question
And we
is.
lost, I'm gonna say we lost 250,000.
To the market?
Well, the market took a beating, but we lost it because the penalty's taken it out.
So you put 100,000 here, 100,000 here, you have 500,000, and from that 500,000, how does it go?
There was another 400,000 we put in investments.
Okay, 4,000, whose names?
There was in hers and mine,
Cindy and yours?
yes. And then my daughter Katie was the executor.
So you have 400 in investments and 100,000 here?
400 and 200, because there's two
Four,
girls.
okay.
So that's 6, so there's 100 left. But out of that 100, we took all the funeral expenses. I paid for my daughter's and her husband and kids' airfare. You know, I paid for people who came because I just felt at the time she wasn't making a lot of money, and I just felt it was the right thing to do. I paid for all the cemetery stuff. The funeral was like 8,000-9,000, I think. And then we bought the extra headstone, the headstone for Levi here, the headstone out there, and just whatever other costs, came into play.
So it should still have been like 400,000?
No, you got 600, there's 100 left.
So there's something like, after all those expenses, and this divided up with the two granddaughters, there's this money that went into an investment.
Right.
And that was how much?
That was, we put 400 in that.
And what happens to that money?
Well, her and I ended up taking it out.
Okay, when did you take it?
We took some out last year, and then we took out some this fall, which was, that's where her house she bought, because she got 150-some thousand.
And what did you get?
I got the same,
Okay.
but I ended up paying off, because we have the duck business. Well, one of my big distributors ripped us off.
So you
And
spent your 150,000?
What's that?
You spent your 150,000?
Oh, yeah, because I was trying to keep the duck business going because of all the bills that were accumulating, because this guy, what he was doing, I raised the ducks, sold them to a broker. That broker was saying, okay, you sent down 500 ducks, 100 of them were bad. I don't give them back. They throw them away. Well, $24, $28 a piece. He was hitting me like that every week for 2 years. Look at
That's where your money went.
So I'm like, and I didn't know that he was doing this, because I'm feeding, I'm raising them, I'm buying them, I'm heating them, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, we found out he was cheating us. So talked to lawyers about it and all that crap, and hers, she took and went and bought a house, which was like, we were still married, and it's like, what the hell, and then we're talking divorce, and it's like, well, that's half mine, you bought it when we, and my thing is I don't give a shit about the house. You know, I've been fighting for the girls' money, you know, and it's like, and the lawyer says, well, we can fight for that, we can fight for the house. She just got served, like 2 weeks ago, because the guy that we had back in the summer couldn't find her. They got another guy, they couldn't find her. They got another guy, he finally found her, but when they wrote the paperwork up, they put her name wrong. So they had to redo everything.
So let's go back for a moment, if you will, to the money that was, we might have covered it, the money that was put aside for your grandchildren, your granddaughters.
There's 200.
200, 100 and 100.
Right.
Okay.
Well, there was more, a little more, because we paid like another 7,000, it's like 107 each.
So where did that money come? You pulled that out, right?
Cindy's got part.
Karlsen cannot account for all of the money and claims that his wife received a portion.
But you only get 50-some thousand back.
Out of the 100,000?
Yeah.
So it's 100 and 100.
100 and
So
100.
you got 50 and 50, so that's
Right.
100,000.
So I took mine, paid off bills
Go ahead.
and stuff, and because I make $1,300 a month. And I told my daughter, I said, look, I says, I spent some of the money from the girls on the house. And I've been talking to realtors, and I'm probably gonna sell the farm. And I've told everybody that, you know, when I sell it, the money that's supposed to be going back to the girls is coming out of the property. You know, it's their money. I don't, you know, the house is worth 300 and some thousand.
So to date, the girls haven't gotten any money, but you
No.
intend to get it back.
Yeah, it's coming out of the house. And, you know, and hers, she's got 45,000.
She's got 45,000 left.
And she even admitted it, if you check on her phone or computer, she admitted it to my daughter Katie and she admitted it to my daughter Erin. And they're pissed as hell because it's not her money. That
Well,
was
it's really,
given,
it's the girls' money.
well, it's the girls' money, but it was given to me to give to them if they need braces, if they need glasses. If Cassie can't provide something, that money, and Cassie has always known that if she gets in a jam and needs something right now, and it's for the girls, I will get it. You know?
If she feels that way, Cassie has come to you before for money?
She's never come to me for money, no.
Have
But-
you offered to give her money?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've offered, and like I say, I take out meat to them a lot.
How many times do you think you've done that?
Only once, but a big,
It was a big, but
big load because she
when
did
was that?
a month or so ago. But I've been after her. I mean, you can check my emails all the time. I mean, you know, do you need meat? Do you need meat? Well, not right now, not right now. I offered her, you know, I buy a Thanksgiving turkey for her. I just feel I owe it to her, you know? I just feel I owe it to, you know, I know it's tough. They just bought a new place.
Why do you feel you owe it to her?
They're my grandkids, you know? They're just my grandkids.
Maybe
And, you know, and it's like, and I know she's struggling. You know, she doesn't make a ton of money over there. I think, from what I understand, she's taking night classes or something. And they just bought a new double wide. They live
Her and
over,
her husband or whoever it is?
yeah, because she had a trailer that you wouldn't have let a pig live in, you know?
Well, where did her and Levi live?
They lived over on the backside of Phelps, out of town. If you went to where the high school is,
What kind of house was that?
it was well, they lived all over. I
Was
mean,
there one that burned down?
they had one that burnt down.
What the hell was that all about?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, when they bought the house, they got it through, I don't know who they got it through, because we were like, how do you let two 19-year-old kids buy a house? His work record sucks. Her work record sucks. At the time, he didn't have a GED, and you're letting him buy a $60,000 house that
Crazy.
the basement wall was like this. The basement, I crawled in it, and it's this deep of mud. The insulation is on the mud. I used to do heating and air conditioning. That's on the ground. The furnace is laying on the mud. It's not on a board. It's not suspended.
That's not proper, right?
No. And I'm like, Levi. And I go in, the light fixtures are hanging from the sheetrock. Because it's one of those deals that when you buy it, you take it as is. The roof's freaking shot. The windows were shot. No caulking on them. Somebody did some nice work on sheetrock in the house in a couple rooms. The kitchen was a joke. I go out there and he's got a wood stove on a back porch, surrounded by plywood, with a plywood roof,
So you tell them that was a hazard?
with the pipe tight on the plywood roof. Single wall black pipe.
Dangerous.
Dangerous, you gotta have 12 inches, I mean, I know it by the back of my heart because I used to do heating, air conditioning, furnaces and all that in California. Double wall, you need an inch. Single wall, you need 12 inches. So I went out, spent the money myself, told him, don't you, I ripped him a new ass. And it's like, you're not gonna kill these kids for this.
Karlsen always seems to circle back to one of two things, his health or how well he took care of his family.
If you need money for heat, you say something, but I'm gonna fix the furnace before, or the wood stove. So I went out and I bought the heat treated like 4x4 sheets of asbestos, or whatever it is
Yeah, I'm
nowadays.
not sure.
And lined the back of the wall, everything. I put, come out of the furnace with single wall, put double walled in, up through the roof, put the collar on, put a roof cap on, because it's legally it's supposed to be higher, 2 feet higher than the peak of the roof. Well, that's 20 more feet. You know, so I got it up high enough to where it was like 12 foot from anything. And I don't even, all I knew is it burnt down. Both of them had been at work all day.
How long after you did that work did it burn down?
I don't.
Was it 2 years?
No, they never even owned it more than. But the wood stove wasn't going. I know that for a
Right.
fact. The wood stove was not going when the fire happened.
And if you hadn't changed it, it was a hell of a fire hazard.
It killed him. He had hot pipe.
Right.
Well, you could see.
When you tried to talk to him about that, was he like, Dad, come on?
Yeah, and I cut the wood out. And the plywood, it was the chipboard, was all burnt. It was charred. I said, you know better than that. You know, and he had plastic over the wood roof. There's a sheet of chipboard,
Had he done that, or was that there already?
him and his buddies. And I mean, thank God I went over, because it was going. I went in the kitchen, got some cups of water, put the fire out, and I mean, I spent a couple $100 on it, you know, because it's like, you stupid ass. You're in the house, and everybody that's seen it will verify, Cassie's not good at laundry. So, and everybody always gave me clothes because they didn't have pot to piss in. Well, it was this deep. And the light switches were out of the walls, the light sockets were out of the walls. I worked on the house for days on the wiring. And it's like, you turn that switch on, it turns the light on over in 3 rooms down.
Was he gracious?
He was. They both were very, they wanted me to stay for dinner, and I was like, oh, no.
Why not?
I'm not eating there.
Because of the laundry?
Because of the dishes.
Oh,
Because her dishes get done often as the laundry does.
not saying
And
much.
he painted the kitchen fluorescent orange. He decided one day he was going to do her a big favor, and he painted it fluorescent orange.
Did they like it maybe?
He did. When she come home,
Not good.
it got hot in there. I mean, but it's like, you know, the poor kid just, I could give him 100% for trying, but it's like, come on, you know, he knew better than that. I mean, he knew how to work on trucks, he knew how to work on tractors, he knew how to weld, he knew how to do farm equipment because, you know, like I was taught, you know, you're gonna come out and watch. It may be boring, but you're gonna learn something. You know, and that there, I don't know what, all I know is that, I believe it was at night the house burnt down.
Yeah.
I think, because they were both night shift.
Luckily no one got hurt.
Oh, I
And
know.
that's before the kids, or the kids?
No, the kids were born. I know Electra was, I'm not sure if Ivy was born at that time. I know, I think if Ivy was like really, really small. But it's like, they never had any business in owning that house.
Too young?
Well, come on, it's one of these ones that they give, you know, they give you the key. Make the payment. the foundation wall would be $20,000 to fix. The furnace is on the mud. I mean, to heat the house, you'd need $3,000 a month.
When was that from the time, when did that happen to the time, how much time elapsed between then, the fire, and the time Levi died?
Oh, probably a couple of
A
years.
couple of years.
Yeah, because easily a couple of years, because he was bouncing all over. I mean, he lived in Seneca Falls, he lived in Waterloo, he lived in Canandaigua.
Did he live back, where was he living at the time that he died?
In Geneva,
With
himself,
himself?
over by the post office.
Was he in a custody battle, or what was going on in his life?
I don't know. I mean, he did see the girls. I mean, he brought them out. I don't really know anything. I've got a copy of all the divorce papers.
Karlsen doesn't have much information on Levi while they were not living close together. He usually did not pay attention to his son unless there would be some benefit to himself.
And all that, because when I cleaned out his apartment, he had a folder, and he had, you know, because there was cases of abuse or not abuse,
Neglect?
no, on her and him smacking each other or something,
Oh,
or
domestic
harassment.
violence type stuff?
I think, but nothing was ever proven. But I've got a stack of papers at home from the divorce and the acknowledgement of the divorce, and I think it pretty much they had nothing, you know?
So he's living in Geneva,
Yep.
and they may or may not have been going through a custody battle?
I don't think they
You don't
were,
think so? Okay. So
because he was seeing them, because
okay, sorry, go ahead.
he would never have the kids. I mean, not permanently. Oh my God, no.
Okay.
It's just, he would probably be at the time a better parent, but he didn't have the means to finance. I mean, he was starting in doing things. I mean, at the rate he was going, if I'd have given him another 6 months or a year, I'd have said, he deserves, I mean, I think he had him, I think the kids spent the nights with him 2 at times. So, I mean, I think it was more so
So
to
you
get
said
the
you'd have
credit.
given him another 6 months or a
Year,
year,
I think he'd have been in a better financial place, a better,
but it didn't happen because he...
because he passed away. But I mean, I think he really was on the right track. You know, but as far as custody, I don't think he ever fought for the kids, you know,
Yeah, I
because,
don't know
I mean,
either.
I think he got to see them. And he had them, he'd bring them out by himself, I mean, out to the house.
So the truck that was being worked on that day was yours.
Right.
Do you remember when it was, when did you first mention to him that you needed help at work?
Oh, it was, I think he's always known it, because he'd come out sometimes and try to help plow the driveway, and 2 minutes later you blow the hoses, and, he couldn't put it on the road. It
Well,
wouldn't
he
pass
came over
inspection.
that day. When were the arrangements made for him to come over that day? Or did he didn't just show
No,
up?
because he asked me if he could use the barn to put his truck in, because he had to do something to it.
Okay.
Because I would have had to pull a tractor out,
Mm.
because we had the big metal barn there.
Okay. So whose idea was it for him to come over that day?
It was his, because,
Okay.
but I told him, you know, whenever you come over, you know, if you can help me with the truck, because I told him we gotta pull out all the transmission lines, and we gotta pull the brake lines from the back where the two meet, up to the front, and pull the front ones off. And we bought, instead of buying the ones already pre-bent, and I still have them, they're the straight ones that you buy, like 36 inches, 48 inches long, and you bend them as you go, because they're a hell of a lot cheaper. I'm just gonna stand up and get a
Go
drink.
ahead, go right ahead.
This sucks, let me tell you.
The back, yeah, I'm down. I have a couple of friends like that.
I mean, after one surgery, I went back to shoeing horses, and I specialize in the draft horses,
Mhm.
which are a ton.
Yeah.
And I fight those guys all the time, but I love it. The meaner they are, the more fun I have.
But that's got to end out your back screw, huh?
Yeah, well, if I could I mean, once you get into it, everything numbs up enough to where it's when you stop is when you go home and cry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was times that I used to shoe and I'd have to have somebody meet me out in the driveway to get me out of the truck because I just couldn't.
When did you stop shoeing horses?
Well, I still do, we used to have riding horses and stuff, and a few Belgians, I was still doing them up till a couple years ago.
Oh, those are the big ones?
Yeah, the big, like the Amish use, but go bigger.
I always think they're Clydesdale, but they're
Oh,
different.
Clydesdales aren't anywhere near as big
Oh,
as these
is that
guys. Clydesdales are, they're tall
Mhm.
and skinny. Because they're meant to do what a road horse can't, which is pull a lot more and be on a road, but also stop the load with their weight. You ever gone to an old horse pull? You know,
No.
county fair, you might.
The detectives casually steer the conversation to horses. It might sound like a topic that couldn't possibly be linked to murder, but it is about to reveal a very interesting point.
County fair, the old horse.
Yeah.
Well,
You have.
And I used to do horse pulling. And I used to travel when I used to work at Stone
With the
Court.
Belgians?
And I had a team, both of them weighed 2,800 pounds apiece. And I kicked ass. I used to go out in Ohio, and this is the best guys in the world at this business. I mean, you work them 4 or 5 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're athletes.
Mhm.
They'll eat 100 pounds of feed a day. I mean, drink 60 gallons of water a day, and
They get you, win you some money and trophies and accolades?
you don't really, it's not the money, it's the idea that the better the horse wins, the more he's worth.
Mhm.
I mean, nowadays,
You must have cashed in.
I did a couple times.
Yeah.
I did good.
So what do you, it's like building a business, you build them up and then you sell them?
Well, yeah, you buy a horse, because you can't really pull them until they're 4 or 5.
Mhm.
4, they're still a baby. At 9 to 10 years old, mentally, they're ready to pull. They understand. It's like a kid in high school, he may be 300 pounds, but until he matures here, he doesn't know how to work what he's got, you know.
So where are the horses? You have to sell
And
them?
I sold them, and then I'd get another team, and then I'd sell them, and I've had some of the tallest horses in the world. And I've had the biggest mare in the world. She weighed 3,200 pounds. Never a horse like it.
That fetch you some money?
Yep, and but I bought her for breeding. And she did have one baby, and she foundered real bad on her front feet. The bone rotates out of her, it's like the bone.
On the baby?
On the mother.
Oh, okay.
And the baby died, it was only 6 months old, but she kicked it out. And it found out that her hormones she was like a woman that couldn't get pregnant. I mean,
So what do you do with a horse like that?
you shoot them.
Is that what
Well,
you do?
no, she ended up dying, but the bone in the foot rotated, and the bone come out the bottom of her foot.
Oh.
And, I mean,
Did that cause her death?
No, she died in a fire.
The horse died in a barn fire, and conveniently for Karlsen, there was an insurance policy. The incident uncomfortably paralleled the death of his first wife and made Cindy Karlsen extremely suspicious.
Oh.
It was a barn fire proven that it had the old cloth wiring in the barn, and there was an oak beam about, God knows this big, and it was burnt completely through where none of the other ones were. So it had been smoldering for, and my grandfather built it, and it was older than, but the cloth wiring, we changed the lights, the wiring in part of it, Dad did, but he never changed the lights that went back to the other parts of the barn.
Gotcha.
And it ran across the beam, which nobody ever knew. You couldn't see it, because what they did, they put a 2x6 over for a sill plate, and then they put the rafters on top of it. And so the only thing the fire department could think, because, I mean, it was like 2 foot by 2 foot.
The rafter.
The beam.
The beam.
And it was completely burnt through, where the other ones, you could see them. I mean, to burn a log like that, you gotta burn it
I would think
for
for
days.
weeks, right? Yeah.
And the only thing they could think is because of the years that it just sort of smoldered, and it was full of hay, and we hadn't been using the barn because it was in the summer.
Oh, so you never noticed that it
So
was...
we kept the horses out in the pastures. We had other pavilions.
Would you put them in there at night?
No, not only until winter. What I did is we had separated the babies from their mothers. We weaned them. And I put my big mare in there because I don't like putting horses in barns. For that, I just don't like.
For what reason?
In
case
case
of fire?
fires,
Oh,
the
gotcha.
barn falls down. I mean, I know so many guys that have had
Is
fires.
that right? I don't know anything about barns, but...
And, it's an old barn, and my mare was so big, you couldn't put her through that door. She wouldn't fit. She's too tall. Her back wouldn't get underneath it.
It's a damn shame to lose her.
And I had, luckily when I bought her, I told the guy, I says, I'm gonna take her down to Cornell and I want her documented. I wanna make sure she's internally okay. Luckily, everything was okay with her, you know, they checked what they could, you know, and, but they had her on record for her weight, her size.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I
So
mean,
as like record size?
yeah, because they never seen a horse like it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially a
So
man.
she must have been insured. You don't have something like that.
I had 20,000 on her. I paid a lot of money, which I paid almost that for.
Yeah.
And it's like, because she's one of a kind.
Yeah.
If her father.
You got pictures?
I got them at home, yeah. Because she's actually in a video at the Seneca Falls Museum. It's called Harvesting the Trees. We had a professor from Canandaigua College come out, and we did the old time logging, and he hand-hewed the beams, and it's a video on how you used to cut the tree down with a buck saw, and Pete McDonald, I don't know if you know Pete,
Yeah.
he did the video, and he come out and got the whole video done of them hand-hewing the beam. I mean, we helped, made the...
And this is with the horse? What was your name?
Ginger. And they showed her dragging it out, the log, and then the finished product with a square beam with the dowel holes in it. I mean, I always figured, you know, it's like towing the line.
Right.
You ever hear the statement?
I've heard it, yeah.
You know what it means?
I always thought it was boxers put their toes in the line for the fight.
It's, you stand on the log, you draw a straight line on the log for the edge where you want square. You got a line, and you put your toes on that line. You got an axe with a blade 12 inches wide, and you're swinging for that line to make the square cut for the side of the log. And you put your toes on the line, because if your toes aren't on the line, you're going to get them cut off. And this 80-year-old professor come in there, and he wasn't much of a guy. And I'll tell you what, that guy could cut freaking logs like there was no tomorrow. Just amazing.
You're not going to catch me towing the line if that's what it means.
And well, when I
need
seen
my
him do it,
toes.
it's like, no steel toes, he's wearing sneakers. And I'm like, bullshit. He goes, well, why don't you get him tried? Not a chance.
Yeah, not me.
I can swing an axe if it's 4 feet in front of me and I'm going down to the ground. I says, no way.
Not going to.
And he goes, well, that's where the saying came from. I says, well, somebody can keep that freaking saying, because I'd hate to see the guys that don't have toes. And, I mean, it was
You'll see them
so,
limping up on you.
but I mean, so the drafts have always, ever since I was a little kid.
When was that? When did that fire occur?
A pattern emerges when something or someone dies every time Karlsen finds himself in financial trouble.
12 years ago, 13 years ago. And because I had just actually, Dad and I were going through the paperwork of buying the farm, because my grandfather, when Dad bought the farm, my grandparents had life use of the house. So they could live there until they died. My grandmother went in an old folks home. She ended up dying at 80, late 80s. Grandpa lived to be 97, I think. And he left the home. He never got committed because I took him to the hospital. He ended up turning into like a little kid. When Mom and Dad would go on vacation, he'd throw shit fits. And that night, oh, I'm sick, I'm puking up blood. And it's like, okay, Grandpa, here we go again. Is that he always thought somebody'd be checking on him every couple hours, and he would reheat stuff in Tupperware in the oven.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's like, come on, you know, and he'd eat shit a Billy Goat wouldn't eat, you know, I mean, really. And so finally, I took him to the hospital that night, and he never come back again. So they put him in homes. He got kicked out for fighting, and so when he died, Dad, he's like, well, does anybody want to buy the farm? And it's like, I couldn't afford the whole farm, so I bought the house and 36 acres.
And that's when the barn caught this?
And then we were doing the paperwork and everything, and the barn was so full of shit you could, my grandfather, it's stuff in there that my lumber, my dad cut with my grandfather with a buck saw, was still up in there, where actually it covered, it was like the center aisle of the barn, we had logs laying over
It's
top.
like kindling.
The whole thing was, he built the barn out of army boxes from the army depot. You'd see the box of the U.S. Army on it. He left the nails in and everything, Grandpa did. I mean, the rafters were 2x2s. Why the hell the barn stood, it was a cinder block barn.
No wonder you didn't want to put the horses.
I mean, the walls were like this, cables all over, and it's like...
So did that fire happen during the middle of the day? Because a lot of times that could happen.
No,
They
it-
smolder like that the day.
Actually, it happened, and the minute I come out the house, the state trooper was coming down the road.
Is that right?
And he saw me coming out, and I had, I think, a pair of pants and a sneakers. In the barn, there was no flame. It was just smoke. I mean, it was just smoke. There was no fire at all. And,
Well, why'd you come running out of the house?
because, well, oh no, there was an orange glow. Like a,
Wait,
like,
was there
no, no,
smoke
hold
or
on.
glow?
No, hold on. Getting back.
I get
There was an
confused.
I looked out the window, and we had like an inch or two of snow, and there was an orange glow out in the driveway.
From the smoke?
No,
Why am I getting confused?
no, just hold on a second.
Okay.
I got to backtrack here.
All right.
And there was an orange glow out in the snow. And I'm like, what the hell? My night light in the driveway is orange, but not that
Right.
orange. So I go running out the back, all I see is smoke.
Right.
But where the barn, my house is here, the barn's here. The orange glow was over in like the driveway and the
That's
barnyard.
from the light.
No, that was from, there was a fire, but when I'm
Oh.
coming this way, it's all smoke. The fire had come through the roof right where that beam was. And it was out in the barnyard, it was burning, this barn was like an L, and it was burning over in here. So I didn't see any fires at first, because I'm like, where the hell's all the...
So you brought you out, was you looked at the window, it was this orange glow, but you ran out and didn't see it.
I never saw it, there wasn't any fire. It's like, what the what's the glow?
What
And
did
then
the trooper, what did they see?
they come down the road and see me coming out of the house, so he pulls in, and he calls, and I mean, they got there, the fire department was there quick, but where I live, we always get a west wind. We always get a west wind. Well, for some reason that night, the fire was blowing out of the direct north, which was coming down our lane, and it took the flames across the road. And
So it must have just kicked up pretty quick once you...
once I opened the barn doors, I opened up the closest ones to the babies, and once I opened that, it gave it air. And it,
Did you call 911, Carl? or-
my wife called, I don't know if she called, I think she called, but then she called my brothers, but the sheriff did, or the state trooper, I mean. And, but the minute I opened up these big barn doors, they're 18 feet tall, and it just took off. But the smoke, the flame never got to the bottom for a while, but it was the smoke you couldn't.
You got lucky because you could have gotten pulled into it or burned or singed.
And it's like, you know, but where we got lucky is the flame not coming out of the west.
Karlsen did not try very hard to save the livestock. Usually, someone in that situation would at least attempt to open the barn door, so there might be a chance at least some of the animals might escape.
I had to replace probably half the siding on my house because just the pure heat. But if the flame was coming to the west, out of the west, we'd have lost the house. I mean, even the police officers and the fire department are like, they couldn't believe we never have a north wind. We just never have a north wind.
And that was on the property you have now?
Yeah, that was the home barn that Dad had. Because when he got into the draft horses, I was in the military. He had the Amish come in and rebuild stables.
What did you do in the military?
I was top secret security clearance. I put nuclear bombs together.
Okay. So what's that MOS? Is there an MOS? Is
There-
there an MOS number?
It's a 4433 OG-4 blah 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 blah, and there's other things that it's all top secret. That's stuff that we.
So you weren't a truck driver?
Oh yeah, I drove tractor trailer.
So when did you switch from that to top secret stuff?
That's what it was.
It was top secret because you would haul nuclear weapons?
We had launch code. I carried launch code capabilities. We carried a lot of shit that.
Because you were calling the weapons.
Oh yeah, and the full-size missiles. I worked all over the state of North Dakota, and we put the missiles in the silos. We carried launch codes. I mean, there wasn't many of us that did this, and it was a job that at the time, when I first started, it scared the shit out of me. Because when you're underground putting a nuke together, you know,
What training did you have for that?
Chinook, Illinois.
No, not where did you train? I mean, is there like were you a mechanic or an engineer? I mean, there must be something.
It's everything. You're an electrician, you're everything, because we put them together. We installed the wiring, we hooked everything up, put the nose codes on, take them out to a silo. We encrypt the launch code into the missiles, and then we stack the motors, put the 2 first motors in, then we put the 3rd motor in, we put the can in, we put the RV, which is the nuke, put that in, and we wire everything up to where it's now operational, and we put a launch code in. And it's tough. I mean, it's
And you would drive the truck?
yeah, I drove the trucks that was, if you shot it with a tank, the only thing it would do is roll the truck over. It couldn't pierce it. You know, I mean, we worked hand in hand with the U.S. Marshals, we worked hand in hand with, you know, the fighters. I mean, it was, when we come down the road, you don't stop. If you have flat tires, you don't stop. If there's an accident, you don't stop.
And you ever have any accidents?
I had one where my trailer breaks. It was in the winter. I mean, Grand Forks, North Dakota, gets colder than shit. My one of my back axles, the rear trailer brakes locked up, and the drums are manganese, and so it's like it's catching on fire. Well, now you got fire with a nuke.
That's bad, right? I don't know much about it.
Sounds bad to me.
Well, now you're supposed to call a certain word, and you have got the most serious problem that you can have in the U.S. You got fire mixed with a nuke. These trailers are very flammable because of the material they use to make them, and we're not supposed to stop, period. And I told the marshal, I gotta stop. And they're like, what? No, we can't. I says, if I don't stop, this thing's gonna burn, and it's gonna blow, and we can't run fast enough. So finally, I stopped. I caught hell about it.
What'd you do after you stopped?
I actually, we
You ran
got
out
a
of hell,
tire,
right?
no, hell no. Got the tire iron out, and we unbolted the tires, and took off.
So did you prevent the fire?
Well, yeah, it ended up, we hit it with a fire extinguisher. Doesn't stop a manganese fire, because the metal is actually burning. So we started back up, the tires fell off, and the faster I could go, the better it got. And we finally got to a launch control facility, which it looks like a hotel fenced in. It's where we stayed if we had to spend the night. And underground is where they have the capsule jockeys that actually launch the missiles. There's like an egg underground. And so we stopped there, and they actually allowed us, for the first time, we brought out another trailer, and they actually let us move the nuke from one trailer to the other. We have cranes inside in the ceiling, and they allowed us to open the back doors. I mean, we threw a tarp over it, but they actually allowed us to move a nuke. Never been done before. I mean, who the hell out in North Dakota is going to take a nuke? You're not going to go anywhere with it. You can't launch it. You can't blow it up like a nuke.
Finances may not be Karlsen's realm of expertise, but he does seem to have a good understanding when it comes to flammable objects.
You can make a bang, but you're not...
Could set it on fire, right? That would be bad.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're going to make a big hole in the ground, but you're not going to get a nuclear blast because it takes so many detonations. It's so complicated.
So it's not
and
dangerous
if I
unless
told,
you know.
well, yeah, if you want to wipe out Geneva, Waterloo, and Seneca Falls with just the explosion it can make, you know, if you want a nuke blast, you're going to turn Niagara Falls and Seneca Lake into a duck pond. But, I mean, we learned all about what nukes were where in the U.S., to where I could go anywhere, I could, you know, I mean, the first thing you walk in, you learn 36 ways how to kill a guy with your bare hands, because you're hauling a nuke. And when you drive down the road, you got a M16 on your door, you got a pistol, you got an 870 Remington with an 8-inch barrel with a pump on top, aiming out your door. And it's like, anybody gets near the truck, you kill them.
How many people do you have to kill to protect the truck?
Never on the truck.
That's good.
That's because, and what's funny is our security cops, they have to ask permission to put a round in the chamber. But us, being who we are, we're God. We don't have to answer. I go to work and once we're off base, shirt comes off, shorts come on, t-shirt, no t-shirt. We didn't answer to the government. You know, we worked for SAC, which is a branch. We were independent of the military in a way because of what we did.
You had to do some crazy shit, I imagine?
Oh, yeah. Stuff that, you know, I never thought I'd ever have to do or never wanted to do, but when you got, you know, you see the Marines going through their basic training, God, I wish I could have only gone through that.
Yeah, it was more than that?
Oh, they beat the shit out of you. I mean,
In the Air Force boot camp?
Well, no, the Air Force boot camp is like going to gym class in school.
Right, that was my impression. But you
It's-
went through something beyond that.
Yeah, because it's 8 push-ups a day in basic, no more than a quarter of a mile a week running a day. I'm like, what the hell is this? We guys couldn't do it. But
So
once
what
you
are these
get-
things you had to do and that you regret doing?
Well, no, it's just things with the job that, you know, you can't say. We just can't say, you know. There's
So did
things
you
that
get to kill anybody?
I can't, you know,
So there's a possibility.
yeah. But it's just, there's things with jobs that, you know, we're trained to protect a nuclear weapon. I mean,
Who's gonna take one in Nebraska?
well,
Where
that's,
were you?
you
That's what you
would,
thought.
but you wouldn't believe the fruitcakes that we'd find out in the middle of North Dakota, hiding in a hedgerow, which is probably one hedgerow per 1,000 miles, and they try to pull some stupid shit. You know, you get the activists and stuff like that.
What years were you in doing that?
1980 to 86. I got out because I actually love my job, because there's times I didn't go to work for 30 days. Because the only time we went and did any work on a missile, there's a gyro. And the slower the gyro spins, the less accurate it is. So once the it started wobbling, then we go out and change the computer, or if there's, you know, little things, but if nothing goes down, we sit home. And we're getting paid. But I mean, I got to actually go out to Vandenberg. We took a missile. We actually launched one with a dummy warhead. Every year they launch 2 of them. I got to see the first MX launch. I got to go work on the Space Shuttle Challenger on the piggyback system, because the military has its own shuttle launching facility. That, you know, when the lasers, all the big to-do about lasers and all that came out and Russia threw a shit fit, that we could go up and kill all their satellites with lasers. That shit's true. That's why the military has their launch. I mean,
So that's way back in the Air
yeah,
Force, so that
I
was
mean, I did a lot of shit. I mean, I've done.
The detectives allow Karlsen to continue bragging, and they take note that he has been trained to be able to take a life.
How did it cook you up here?
No.
No.
I mean, it just, once you get broke and they build you back up, it's like,
But you don't have any mental defects as a
no,
result
no,
of the
no,
military.
no. No, the only reason why I got out is they took away, for my height, I'm supposed to weigh maximum 172 pounds. Sorry, I'm not gonna weigh 172 pounds in my best day if you cut my legs off. I weigh 220, 230, and I can hold my own other than the body ailments, but I mean, it's like they did away with 35-10, the Fat Boy program, which is the body mass. So now, because you see these guys that are at their weight or underweight, but they got a big gut, and they can't see their shoes. So they said no more of that. Everybody has to be able to see their toes. You know, and it's like, so they took away my body waiver. And I had gone in the hospital, they put me on diets, they had dietitians and therapists, and I wasn't the only one, there was a lot of us. And it's like, I can't get down to 100, I got down to like 198. And I'm like, how can I get to 172 and stay there? I can't. You know, but it's just, so I got out, came home and got a job in a stone quarry and stayed there, and then my wife's, her dad offered me, he didn't have any boys, and he had his heating and air conditioning, so I went out there, worked for him, and very, very wealthy to-do part of California, up in Bear Valley, and all retirement homes that people spend millions on, and
Oh, so you were living out in California?
yeah, I lived out in a little town called Murphy's, California.
How'd you like that?
I liked it. I mean, the only shitty part is that there's no green grass, and the forest fires and the earthquakes. I was out there for the 2 big earthquakes, the one that hit during the World Series.
Shit, what year would this be? I don't remember that.
88, 89, something like that.
I almost remember that, but it was, yeah,
That
anyways.
was a bitch.
Right. Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
bitch. We were actually.
What year did you move from there? Right around there?
91. And we had earthquakes up where we were, and I can remember looking down the hall of our house, and it was like just a slow roller.
Is that why you moved like any good New Yorker, moved the hell out of California because of the earthquakes?
No, I mean, it just, the house just did this. And then it stopped, and my wife woke up, oh, that's an earthquake. And I'm like, you know, holy shit. Then it's like a big giant come over, grab the house, and shut the little shit out of you. The sheetrock came down, the dishes came down, the pictures came down, the lights come down, the windows broke. And I'm like, I couldn't get out of bed to get to the kids. The bed's jumping all over. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's why you got the hell out of there, I imagine.
You know, that's bullshit because I don't know how people, and the scorpions are in the house all the time. The potato bugs that bite are in your bed all the time. You put on a pair of shoes, you better reach in or shake them before you put your shoe
The
on.
scorpions.
And they're all over. And it's like, it's the same. You ever watch the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray? Live in California, and that's the exact same thing. In the summer, from March till October, it's the same weather every day. No rain. You got one cloud that comes by at noon, and it's 110, 120 degrees. You go to bed, the next day you wake up, that same freaking cloud comes back at noon, and it's like, how do people live here? It's $100,000 for a quarter of an acre. You know?
So, okay.
You know, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, California's not for me. I've been there a little bit. But
I mean, it's beautiful because I could see out our bedroom window or out our front porch window. I could see snow-covered mountains in the summer. I lived right on the edge of the Stanislaus National Forest, where the big red trees are, the redwoods, the
nice
sequoias.
house.
Oh no, it was 1800 and something gold miners' chow hall.
Oh,
Oh.
People, we rented it, and it's up on stilts. The people redid it, and it was nice. I mean, the outside looked like hell, but the inside, they had kept all the original old woodwork.
Well, that's cool.
And it was nice, and they lived in the Bay Area, and my daughter, or my wife, and her family knew these people, and the guy said, look, if you want, move up there, and instead of paying me rent, take care of the house. So she repainted, and we fixed windows, and basically remodeled the whole house, because the high school kids or whatever would come up there and party, so there was beer bottles all over, you know, but to live there, you better make $100,000, $200,000 a year. And all the people out of the Bay Area that sold their houses for multi-millions would come up, and they'd build these $1,200,000 houses, which are 6,000 square feet. I mean, I did a house for a lady, her and her husband. She was the first female fighter pilot with a P-41 Mustang. And her and her husband both had Lamborghinis.
Why'd you leave Murfreesboro? Just because of the weather and the...
Hurt.
Well,
Earthquakes.
my wife had passed away, and
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What was she ill?
no, she died in a house fire.
Oh, in the place you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's probably a
And I threw my kids. I threw Levi out of the house by his hair, and the girls went out the window on the other end of the house,
How'd they get out the window?
and I broke the window. And the smoke got her, and her, is what the coroner said, that they said there was enough smoke in a styrofoam cup, and she,
To do what, a cow?
to kill you. If you breathe just the smoke in a styrofoam cup.
Oh, like if you burned it?
Yeah, because he was saying, you know, because I'm like, you know, how come she didn't get out?
Yeah, how come?
And it was the smoke.
Oh.
He said that the way, because she didn't burn much. I never seen pictures. I didn't want to see pictures. And he told me not to. And
Who told you that?
the coroner doctor
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever. And he said she wasn't burned bad, and but he said just remember
Was she not with the kids or something? Or?
Well, they were all sleeping, and she was up in the bathroom, and
She got up in the middle of the night or something? They
and
go to bed?
so she somehow, the way he says, because we had a puppy, a Dalmatian puppy, and we had kerosene heaters in the house.
Mhm.
And the dog spilled the kerosene like 3-4 weeks before, and they've, because she had talked to her grandmother or whoever it is and everybody else about how to get it out. Well, we should have pulled the carpet out
Mhm.
because it was all under the carpet and into the wood, and they thought, I guess it was a result because it was in the laundry room too,
Mhm.
and because
Oh,
it was a gas dryer.
Mhm.
And, but we were, I don't know, putting stuff away, and there was boxes everywhere up, because we stored everything up in the attic.
Mhm.
But the doctor said that he figures she opened the door and got a whiff of the hot air, which would make you breathe or something, I don't know.
Mhm.
Because they told me at first she was a closet alcoholic.
Mhm.
And I'm like, my wife had one drink, and that was the first night we ever slept together. And that was the last drink she ever took, so I don't know if you take that as a compliment or,
Doesn't sound like one.
you know, but she never drank. She was as religious
What,
as,
I missed something totally. Why would they think she's a closet alcoholic?
because her blood count or something.
Mhm.
And, but lo and behold, what it was is that I never knew is that when you die, your blood boils or something, and it
Never heard that.
your body produces alcohol.
Hmm.
Oh,
And I'm
really?
like, because they told me she committed suicide. I'm sorry, not this woman.
So if this is the middle of the night, why were you were in the house? You
No,
were-
this was in the day. I was down at a barn. There was a barn like 200
I'm
yards.
sorry, I thought you said the kids were sleeping. so-
They were. It was nap time.
Oh.
Because
okay.
they
How
were
old
real
were they?
small.
They were just little?
5, 4, and just coming 3. And they were nap. It was New Year's Day, and we were getting ready to go to her dad's house for dinner, and she and that's why, because I was at the barn, 200 yards away, and what woke my youngest daughter up is my wife yelling my name, because my daughter wrote a little letter, and it said everything about that day, and that Daddy saved me and my sister and whatever, and you know, because all I heard was my middle name. When you get told your middle name, something's wrong. And by the time I got up there, it was just full of smoke. And when I broke the window, that's when, remember what you said about a barn, how it pulls you in or something?
Well, I just meant the fire, but yeah.
Well, that's what happened to me. And I opened, the windows were like 5 foot by 5 foot, and they slide in the walls. Well, when I broke the window, the fireball came out
Okay.
and burnt my eyes together, burnt my face. I mean, blew me right off the...
After the kids? After you get the kids
No,
out?
to get to them.
Oh, okay.
And it blew me off, and the kids are still in the house. And my eyes were burnt shut, so I pulled them apart and couldn't see worth shit. And my son had got to the window, and I got him by the hair,
This is Levi.
yeah, and chucked him out. And I got the girls, and but they said she was dead when she opened the door, because they said
Where was she in the house?
she was in the middle of the house. The house is like 80 to 100 feet long. I mean, it was
So she had no
long.
windows to get out?
No, and they
What room
figured
was she in the middle of the house?
the bathroom.
Oh, so there were absolutely no windows to jump out of?
No. And they had sort of, when they built that, there were no bathroom in the 1800s, so they put this bathroom, and the septic system was a railroad tie pit in the ground. It's like, they really should have never rented. I didn't even know. Until one day the toilet backed up and found out that they dug a freaking hole and put railroad ties to prevent it from caving in. It's like, how can you do that? And then when I called the septic system guy, he come out and I said, he's like, I gotta report this to the county. You know, and the water to the house came out of a flume. You know what that is?
I can only picture that it runs off the mountains or something.
Yeah, it's a little concrete,
Like a little
Trough.
aqueduct, isn't it, or something?
yeah, it's a little trough, and that's where the water came from. I says, that's freaking runoff. You know, you think about it, it's runoff. And they had it running through all these filters.
You've had a tough life.
So I just sit there and said, you know what? I mean, I was making good money. I mean,
No, I mean because you lost your wife.
oh
not
yeah.
because of the water.
And I've been through hell in every freaking way. And it's like, you know, I sit here and it's like, you know, we used to bring water in by the gallons from her dad's shop. So every day I'd bring in 4 or 5 gallons and take 4 or 5 gallons home. And but no, it's.
So you lost your son
And my wife.
and your wife and those horses. A horse or horses?
Horses, my big mare and 3 babies.
The number of similar disasters are unlikely to have been a coincidence, but Karlsen doesn't see what the detectives are implying.
You know, and the thing is like.
Well, I gotta ask, just because now that's brought up.
That's fine.
What? How much was the insurance on your wife?
200 on her. There was insurance on all the kids. It was
You insured your kids?
yeah, the wife. You know, there was a little insurance policy on each kid.
Okay.
Because I had insurance on me when I was growing up. My parents put on us, and they never. You know, well, of course they didn't pay on them, but they. It was what it was. It was through. With our work, it was a retirement insurance thing. It was like a retirement policy, insurance policy.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
It's weird. It was weird, but I mean, it's
Was
what.
it through your work at the time?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I mean, I went through the gauntlet for that, you know,
For what?
and it's, you know, the fire. I mean, they
Oh,
got, you know, I
okay.
mean, when you're home, you're
I'm sorry, how much was she insured?
just 200.
200,000. Was she working at the time?
No, she never worked. Well, no, sorry. She worked for, here in Geneva, they used to have a place called Mackey's Business Products in 1 Franklin Square.
She wasn't working at the time, though.
No, she only worked, other than in a high school, and when she was a kid, maybe 2 months out of her
So
life.
let me just put
She
this
was
together.
she was a mother to, she
Yeah,
sold.
That's a full job right there,
Well,
full-time
no,
job.
she made all their clothes.
Yeah, well, that's
She
not
made,
easy.
she competed sewing at state fair levels. She competed, she made the patterns. She made, I guess, bikinis are like the worst thing you can ever try to make for somebody. She used to do that on the side. This is what she had the second.
Sounds like a hell of a good mother. Very capable woman.
And the most religious, not religious to where it's like pushy, but she just believed.
Faith, yeah.
I mean, we went to church every weekend,
How
you
long
know,
did you live out there?
4 years. And she wanted to move back to New York.
How long had you lived there when, the whole time you were out there, you worked for who?
Her dad. He made me part owner of the business.
Okay, so your insurance was through her dad?
Yeah.
Did you get that insurance the minute you moved out there?
No, it was, because I only was making like $8 an hour going out. So I went out there to feel it out.
When did you get that insurance?
It was a couple years later or so.
Okay. So how soon before her death was she become insured?
I don't know.
Couple months, maybe?
I think it was a lot longer than that. It's been so long. But it's,
Well, let's try to put a time frame on it, because it's interesting, you know. Well, you remember how Levi's insurance was taken out pretty much soon before his death? Was that scenario?
no, it was farther than that.
Because his was like a month or something, but
No. Well, that's why I say with Levi's, I knew right at the beginning, they were never gonna pay.
they did though, right?
They
That's what I'm
did, but
confused.
I mean, they technically did not have to. And that's what the investigator said. He goes, you know, he never got his physical. I mean, I gave him the message and that's up to his call whether,
Yeah.
I don't know if he called and set up an appointment, because you have to have, just like when
How do you know he didn't have his physical?
he never had his physical.
Well, how'd you know that? He wasn't living with you.
The investigator told me
Afterwards. So
after
at the
fact.
time, you didn't know he didn't have a physical?
No, because I told him,
You thought it was good to go.
no, I knew he hadn't had it,
How did you know that? That's what I'm confused.
because I got the phone call at home. He didn't have a phone.
Oh, to try to set it up.
The insurance, the lady
Gotcha.
called, the home health, whatever, she
Yeah.
called me at our house. And I got the phone and talked to her, and she says, I need to set up an appointment with Levi, how do I get a hold of him? And I
Okay.
says, well, give me a name and number.
I
and
mean,
I'll-"
I don't mean to interrupt,
No,
but I get off track, so I want to go back to The insurance, and what's your deceased wife's name?
Chris.
Chris. So about how long before do you think?
It's.
Was it like in other people's minds, like relatively soon?
Karlsen doesn't want to answer questions about the insurance. It hadn't been in place long before the fire, and if the detectives think to question his financial situation at the time, Karlsen knows it won't look good for him.
It's got to be, I don't know, it's got to be like 3-4 months or something.
Oh,
like
okay,
that.
so it was a significant, well, actually, that's not a long time. So she was like 3 or 4 months, she's insured through your job, and then the fire occurs?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, and
It's striking.
believe me, if anybody.
Were you thinking like, I can't believe how does this
No,
happen?
I'm like, and my I'm, you know how some people go through life, and no matter what happens, everything that can go wrong can go wrong.
That's Murphy's Law. You must be
I lived in Murphy's,
Well,
California.
that must have been Murphy's Law.
And it's like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. You have got to be
So did
freaking
you go to the
kidding me.
ringer because of that being a suspicious circumstance?
Well,
or-
just, no, it was the fact that she died at home and they got to go through the whole gauntlet.
Who's that?
The fire department. I never got invested by anybody else.
Oh, so where's the gauntlet?
Just them. I mean,
The fire department
yeah.
pushed through the gauntlet?
Well, they're fire investigators,
So
whatever.
it wasn't a criminal investigation?
No.
So there was no gauntlet, I just want to...
No, it just, I guess when you lose a spouse and you got 3 little kids and all of a sudden you lost it sounds bad, the shoes and clothes that I wore and the underwear I wore weren't mine. People gave...
We mean after the fire?
Yeah, I lost everything. I lost vehicles, I lost every possession I owned.
What
And
about her family was right there, right? Did they help you out?
Yeah, but I'm wearing borrowed clothes.
Yeah, no, that sucks.
I mean, I had a guy that I knew a little bit, he took me down, bought me
You
a
lost
pair of
all
boots.
your possessions.
Everything.
We've had a fire, we lost all my stuff as a kid.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
I lost everything, the kids, when they were babies. All their baby clothes, all the pictures, the albums that you would save for a kid. Everything.
Yeah, that is a significant loss in some
And I
life,
says,
no
and
doubt
all of
about
a
it.
sudden, I'm burnt. You know, I got burns all over my face. My
Do you have any
brother,
pictures from the burns? Did you keep anything like that?
I don't. If I do, I don't know where.
Did you have to go to the hospital to get checked out?
Oh, they took me right to the hospital with an ambulance. I mean, eyes were burnt shut.
It's traumatic, it must be.
You-
We had a fire, but we
you know
got
what-
out.
You know what it felt like? It felt like somebody hit me in the face with 5 baseball bats at the same time.
You mean the
pressure.
fire? Oh, I'm
Just-
talking about the loss of your wife.
Oh, well,
That too?
you're in a daze. It's like, I can remember sitting in the ambulance, you know, and my father-in-law hops in, and all I could do is look at him. I couldn't talk. You know, I mean, I was burnt, and I mean, it's like, and he knew. I guess they told him or something, but it's like, because
He
the
knew
road
what?
we lived on, the fire department told him that she
Oh,
didn't get out.
okay, yeah.
But the road we lived on was like 8 feet wide.
Was there, you must have had a hell of a lawsuit that you were living in this place where there was a bathroom that had no window.
Right.
Did you? That
Yeah.
lawsuit?
No, because they sued me. The
Who sued you?
homeowners sued me
For what?
for burning down their freaking house. There was never any cause. There was, the only thing they could say was kerosene. And
So did you acknowledge it was some sort of neglectful thing? or-
no, they had no smoke detect for renting for California rental.
Code?
Codes? They had nothing.
And I can't get over this
And I
bathroom.
went
Was
to-
it like an old window or
Well, the
was
window was like that big and it was boarded up.
it, you should have sued their asses off.
Oh, and I had,
Wait, did you board it up?
what's that?
Did you board it
Yeah,
up?
we had to because it was no good. But you couldn't fit out of it. You couldn't put, you might be able to put a baby out of it. A baby. You and I, or a 80-pound woman, there's no way. You could.
Why'd you board it
and-
up?
Because it was all broken. Everything
window
was
was
shot.
broken?
Oh, yeah. You know, and it's like the frame was shot, the frame of the house was shot. And
When did you board it up?
like 8 months before. And the thing was, is that these people, to tell you how screwed up they were, I got sued Christmas Eve,
Wait, when did this happen?
January 1st.
Okay.
Okay? The sheriff comes to the house
So
Christmas.
a foul year.
Following year, they were smart, because you got a 1-year time frame. I couldn't get a lawyer and get replied back to them, because we had to fight it in California.
Well, would you still living in California?
No, so my family later on came out, got me and brought me back home, because I was just
When did you move?
screwed up. Week and a half after she died.
Karlsen left the state as quickly as possible after his wife's death. While no accusations were made at the time, some family members questioned whether or not it was an accident.
Because I had nothing.
Right.
And my father-in-law was reeling the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and my
Did they
my
blame you?
dad sent my brother Mike and my sister-in-law out, and they had plane tickets for us. You know, and I didn't give a shit. You know, I didn't care.
That's a traumatic loss, I would imagine.
You know,
you still feel the effects of that now?
you don't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get over it. Anybody says you do, it's bullshit.
And people, you said that you went through the gauntlet. Have people been suspicious about
No,
your involvement?
no, because they knew her, they knew me. She was a woman that, out of all the...
Did Levi ever accuse you of killing his mother?
No.
No one's ever done that?
No.
Okay.
Everybody, they knew her. She didn't have a temper. She didn't argue. Didn't believe it. You don't go to bed mad. Even if you think you are, you don't go to bed mad. She just believes you accept the good with the bad, and you deal with it, and you learn from it, and you move on. Tomorrow, the slate's clean, and that's the way she believed. And I mean, I'm not the most religious person, but I am a firm believer that there is.
There's a God?
Yes.
I believe 100%.
I mean, there's no doubt.
Me too.
And I think the older you get, it's like I told Cindy, and I think I texted her or we talked about it. I said, I've been going back to church, and I said, you know, when I walk in the door,
It crumbles?
I feel lighter.
That's what my mother would say. When I walk through the door, the church crumbles when I walk through the
Well,
door.
no.
That doesn't happen, does it?
No, it's like I feel lighter. I feel like the pressure's off. I feel like just at ease, you know. And I says, you know, I'm glad I'm doing it. I mean, I'm doing it on my own. I'm not doing it because of my wife's telling me to go to church. And it's like, you know, and
Why are you doing
you know,
what's going
going
on in
through a
your life
divorce,
now?
it's like, you know, divorces suck.
I hope I never find out.
They're the worst thing you can imagine, because it's everything you worked for, everything you thought. You know, it takes two to make it work. It takes two to make it fail.
Do you love Cindy?
I do. I really do. Even to this minute, she had her demons coming into the marriage, which was her alcohol.
Every time Karlsen brings up his current wife, he makes a comment to undermine her credibility.
You know, but at the time, I never knew
Why
that.
would she try to say, yeah?
To get everything,
Why?
the house.
But there's nothing though, really, right? I mean,
Well, I got the farm. That's 300 and some thousand.
Okay.
Because she knew I was going to go after her for the house and the money for the girls. She has nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept telling Amy Lapp. I says, she has nothing. The lawyer and I have already talked about that we're going to go after it. You know,
Oh, what are you gonna go after?
the money for the kids.
Okay.
The house.
The house, you mean, what money from the, I get confused.
The
about-
money that we took from the insurance bought that house she has.
So when you say the money for the kids, you're talking about your house, right?
No, the house that she owns in Newark.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The rental, all the...
You're gonna
Is
take
that
her
like
out.
a rental house or something?
Yeah, she's renting it out or something.
Okay.
I've never seen it. I don't even know where. All I know it's in Newark.
Right.
So you're
And
gonna, you and your lawyer are gonna go after that house.
because that was money, it all comes back to the money that we invested and everything was from Levi, which was given to me. And that even though her name was on it, it was only on it to, in case I die. And so the thing is that, yes, she's entitled to something from the farm that we have now. You know, we're married. I mean, she's entitled to
Right, I
some.
would assume
I have
so.
no. And I thought, you know, the bargaining chip is going to be, because we've got bills from her business. She owns C&K Farm, the business for the ducks, raising the ducks.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I own Karlsen Poultry. okay? C&K is in the hole big time, okay? And I told her, and my lawyer told me to tell her, you know, we had 16,000 ducks when she left.
Where are they?
They're all dead now. Gone to restaurants, or I've killed a lot of them because they didn't make weight. They were too heavy, or
How many ducks did you kill?
probably 8,000.
How do you do that? It's a long day of slit
Well, it
throats.
took many, many days, you know, but I sold a lot, I got rid of a lot of them to people who raise hawks. They used to feed the hawks.
Oh, okay.
People that go out to the landfill and stuff like that. But, and it's sad, a lot of them I ground up for sausage were, because I'm in the process of, I backed off a while, but dealing with Cornell and getting a USDA inspection, or USDA processing plant. So
Oh.
butcher so I can sell to restaurants out of state. In-state, we've been doing it because we're under a 5A. As long as we don't kill more than 20,000 birds.
But you don't have any birds right now?
Nothing. And I told her, I said, you know, since you left, the bills are 50-50 because they're still your ducks. I told her, sign off the business, give it to me, and you have no debts. And she's like, nope, nope, nope. And I says, well, and I talked to the lawyer, he can verify. He says, do it, he goes, kill them all. I says, I'm not gonna kill all these ducks. He goes, I'm starved. I says, yeah, be arrested for animal cruelty? This is a lawyer telling me. And I sit there and I says, I don't have the kind of money it's gonna take. And he sits there and he goes, talk to your farmers, see if any of them can help. So I was getting feed from anybody
So, to try to feed them?
to keep them alive. But well, when you're taking them off their diet, they lose weight. Because these things in 8 weeks are 9 pounds. So you start giving them something different, they don't grow as good. And so we argued, her and I argued, she goes, well, that's your problem, just send the paperwork to my lawyer. Well, what do you do in the process when the animals are starved?
Kill them.
Yeah. And I said, it's the most, I mean, it's the most humane thing to do. I says, I'm not gonna let them.
I don't think there's any issue with that, right? I'm not a farmer, I don't know anything about it, but if it's your animal, I think, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's nothing legally wrong, but I said, I'm not gonna sit here and just let them starve slowly. And the lawyer says, just keep track of the bills and everything else, and he says just, but it's like, I don't really care about the house she got. It's, and my daughters both know, and they've asked her, give the money back from the girls. That was given to Dad, and to Dad to take care of, even though, yes, those girls know her as Grandma, because she's been there from day one, and that's why I
Did
look
she ever
at
have
her.
a life insurance policy on her?
No, I have,
No, not on you. Did Cindy, was there ever a policy on her?
No.
Nothing?
no. Because she always figured that if she died, I could work, and I could take care of myself.
Makes sense.
And with me, she's got the policy. I don't have it. And I've asked her about it. I said, do you still have it on me? And she won't give me an answer for. I mean, and sort of, and this is a weird way of looking at this, but I'm like, when she started talking like this, I'm like, and this one thought went through my head, is like, okay, should I be looking over my shoulder?
Okay,
To
she
see
might try
who's-
to kill you?
Yeah.
In a surprise twist, Karlsen accuses his ex-wife of possibly plotting to kill him to collect the insurance money.
That
Because,
goes through your mind when you think about having insurance?
yeah, because why, it's with this whole ordeal, it's like, why would she be asking or saying that if you come clean and all this, it's like, come on, it doesn't make sense.
See, I don't
And
get
even
the
like-
end game on that. I mean, I know you're saying, and again, I still believe, and I think we share the opinion that you caused that vehicle to fall on your son. I don't think less of you for it. But in any event, I don't understand the end game.
Because I wanted
What,
to
you
see.
say she wants to, no, I understand what you're
No.
saying there. You've explained that. I don't agree with it, but why would she, what's her, if she's playing this game,
I don't
what
know.
is she gonna get? Because it doesn't make a
Well,
whole hell
because
of a
it
lot of
didn't
sense.
make a lot of sense to me in a lot of ways, still doesn't, because
Because you can't figure out why she would do that. What
because
is
I
she
didn't know if
gaining?
she was drinking again.
Right. Because if
Because
she's
I had to
drinking,
go over many times to get my son. He'd call up and say, Dad, Mom's drunk again, she's passed out on the couch.
okay, so if she's
So I
drinking,
don't
the
know-
play would be,
To see if she's playing with a full deck of cards.
no, but I mean, what is her motivation to set you up?
I don't know.
Okay, because I would like to know.
I mean, I don't know, because it's like, to me, it's like, what, when
Yeah,
she
it's
left
hard. It
me,
doesn't
she
make
was,
sense.
the last 2 years, my daughters never knew she drank.
Mm-hmm.
My son never knew she drank. We went on a cruise. I told my daughter Katie, who's a cop, said, look, when you graduate college, I'll take you on a cruise. We did. My daughter she drinks a little bit of that Red Cat wine. It's nothing fancy. She's not a big drinker at all. Katie. And she is about the most, she would pull me over for a ticket.
She's
I mean,
a cop.
she's got cop tattooed on her ass. Believe me. And she's a small girl, but don't fight her because you're gonna get your ass kicked. And it's like, we were on the cruise, we get there, and my wife, the night before, we went down a day ahead, because we always do it, in case air travel problems, that I don't want to miss the cruise. My wife got in her luggage and drank 3 bottles of wine.
On the drive down, the ride down?
No,
Oh, at the cruise?
at the hotel, in a matter of hours.
That's crazy.
Daughter opens up her suitcase, there's no wine. She's like, well, where's the wine? And then I said, well, we need to talk. So my son was up swimming or something, and I said, look, Cindy was in the room. I said, just want to let you know, Cindy's an alcoholic. And this was like 2 years ago. And then Cindy told her that she got in her suitcase and drank her 3 bottles of wine. And so the rest of the cruise, my daughter was basically taking care of my son. I was basically babysitting my wife wherever she wanted to go. She'd stay out till 3 in the morning. I'm tired. Been in the sun all day. But her drink of choice was straight vodka.
And the wine.
Mainly vodka, though.
Right.
But her sister died of it, got in the hospital.
Cirrhosis?
Yep, a week later.
Is she drinking these days?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Because my son always had the feeling when we split, he goes, Dad,
Let me ask you this though, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
why would she ever think that you would admit or confess to
Well,
killing
that's what got me. It's like,
because it doesn't. I mean, it's
well,
acknowledges
part of me is like,
ridiculous.
oh, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm telling my friends the same thing. I says, what is her game?
Who are
What's
these friends
Amy?
associated?
Amy Lapp and Donna Whitmore. And
Yeah, but you said that Donna didn't know about it until after.
You said Katie didn't tell Katie until after either, right?
drinking, yeah.
No, about how you were exploring this game. that you
Right,
just-
oh yeah, right. And so anyways, so when Cindy was going all about this, I was telling the neighbor, I said, something isn't right. It's just not, I says, what? And I was really hoping we could get back together. And the more I got thinking, maybe it was sort of looking at it with
What's
blinders
suspicious?
on.
What's suspicious about Levi's death? In your opinion, what is suspicious about it?
To me,
To us, in your opinion, you're a smart guy. But why do you think we're suspicious of it?
just, I guess
Your
because of
daughter's a
Cindy.
cop, and she's a good cop, what you tell us.
She is
So
very
she
good
must
cop.
get that from you, being an analytical person. So if you were in our seats,
I don't know. I mean, well, I guess you can look at it,
what is suspicious?
I guess it was, I don't,
Do you see
I
anything
guess,
suspicious?
because, because I'm the last person that's seen him, and I had the insurance, well, that's fine. There are a lot of people that way. There are a lot of people that, you're the last one to see him, and I understand legally what has got to be looked into. I'm not stupid. I'm not the smartest person in the world, believe me. And my grades, if you look at my Ramos school grades, I was in school till I was 20 years old.
Instead of answering the question, Karlsen changes the subject and hopes that they will be distracted.
But I always told myself I was going to graduate. I wasn't going to be like my brothers. They got the certificate of attendance, one quit, because I'm not going to be told, oh, I attended all the classes, didn't pass them. So I'm not, I'd say I'm not a rocket scientist, but in a way I am, yes. The military, I was scared to fail because of Dad. I mean, I really wanted to prove that I'm somebody.
So let's put everything in, if I could.
So I understand what you're saying, believe me. I mean, I understand what you're looking at, and I don't know,
There are some things that you don't know about.
Right, well, but it's just the idea that it's like, it's not, and for her to do this, it didn't make sense. And like I kept telling the neighbor, I said, I'm gonna.
You were really worried it was a trap, right? I mean, you kept saying-
It proves that it was. But
Right,
it's
it
like,
does.
but it's like, okay, You know,
You got
I
me.
want to
You
see,
got me.
you know, I'm like, I want to see where it goes. And I told her that. And I, you know, the neighbor lady, because I says, I'm going to play along. And I knew I'm going to have to feed Cindy a line of shit and tell her what she wants to hear.
Did you
'Cause I
suspect you
kept
might
telling-
end up at the police station?
No, not in a million years. Not in a million years. And I really thought that, you know, her and I, it's like all the time, and I told my neighbor, I says, how could you ever, even if I admitted it, like I
How
told my
long were you
neighbor,
gone at the funeral? I'm sorry to interrupt you. How long were you and Cindy gone at the funeral?
over 4 hours,
4 hours.
4.5, maybe a little longer.
Think about that for a moment.
Mhm.
Do you know how accurate they can do the cause of death based on body temperature,
I know.
atmospheric temperature?
All I know is what they tell me.
It's accurate. Within, what's, 15 to 25 minutes?
Yeah, maybe even
So
better.
there's a big problem.
I mean, I don't know, I mean, I'm thinking 4.5, maybe a little longer, because I know it was after 11 o'clock when we left, I think. And we didn't get back till it was like right around, I think, 4:30 or so, right in, you know.
We revisited all those things and all the things that were done at that time of his death. And we've sent him in to many places, including the state police lab, the Monroe County lab. And analysis has been done that can pretty much put it within a 15-minute window. I mean, it's not as precise as we'd like it to be, but basically, or specifically, it was before he left. He died. And it wasn't because of anything other than a crushing chest wound. So that's one thing that you may be upset that I revealed. I don't know. I apologize if you are.
Well, no, I mean,
But that's
you
a
know,
fact that we're dealing with.
Right.
Typically, when we interview somebody, we try not to play all our cards.
I
We sit
have
here-
no problem with you guys telling me things, being honest.
Okay.
I know what I know, you guys got what you got, and all I can say is,
But that's something that can't be disputed.
Right.
I mean, he was dead by your own, besides the fact that you told Cindy what happened. Besides that, by your account that you provided us today about you going in there, that
yeah,
is
but how many times did you tape her? Can I ask?
that tape.
Her? How many conversations?
I don't understand what you're saying.
When you taped her talking to me?
She taped you,
Right. But how many times?
2, I think, right? Why? What does that
We
matter?
met like 3 or 4 different times
Okay.
on this matter.
Uh-huh.
And every time, the story changed.
All right.
Karlsen continues to insist that he was lying to his wife while she was wired. In part 2 of his interrogation, the detectives will begin to get more intense with their methods. Will it be enough to get Karlsen to confess? Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, there is a Patreon link in the description where you can support the channel further. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.